Chapter 89. In the Dreamscape. Great Dream Dynasty's Imperial Palace. Great Dream Emperor was clad in a dragon robe. His face was handsome and his body was sturdy. At this moment, he was anxiously looking at a black-robed man. State Preceptor, that Imo family actually has the Ghost City grass. What should we do? Great Dream Emperor asked worriedly. Does your majesty want Imo Yushi? The Dream Demon smiled faintly. Of course, if it wasn't for the throne, I would have forced Imo Yushi to be my concubine. Now, I am the Great Dream Emperor. In the entire Great Dream Dynasty, I am the most powerful. What I want is mine. The Great Dream Emperor said solemnly. Yes, you are the Great Dream Emperor, the entire Great Dream Dynasty is yours. Imo Yushi must also be yours. The Dream Demon hypnotized. Yes, I must have Imo Yushi. Yen family. I will slaughter their entire family. If Imo Yushi doesn't agree to be my concubine, I will kill her parents and exterminate her 9 generations. The Great Dream Emperor said coldly. As for the Ghost City grass, they have it, so do I. I can use half of my strength to create a spiritual object that can restrain the Ghost City grass. The Dream Demon said solemnly. In the Dreamscape, the Dream Demon had to pay a price to create a dream. To break the balance, there must be a price. Good, I will trouble State Preceptor. State Preceptor, go create the spiritual object. Ha ha ha. The Great Dream Emperor laughed loudly. Yen Manor, Yen Chuan's study room. Imo Yushi was gently grinding ink with her big belly. Yen Chuan was looking at a map on the table. The map was very strange, only the center of the map was marked. The rest of the map was blank. Husband, you have been looking at this Great Dream Dynasty map for a long time. Imo Yushi asked curiously. For a long time. Ha! Yen Chuan smiled faintly. After laughing, Yen Chuan looked at the Great Dream Dynasty map again. His eyes narrowed slightly as he thought in his heart, a dream demon creates a dream, but this dream is mine. Disrupting my dreamscape. Demonizing my dreamscape. How can I allow others to dictate my dreamscape? Husband, the ink is ready. Imo Yushi said gently. Thank you for your hard work, wife. Yen Chuan said. It's not hard at all. Imo Yushi said gently. Yen Chuan picked up the brush, dipped it in ink, and looked at the map again. Nightmares demonize my dreamscape so that I can't interfere. I'll start a new dream. Expand the territory of the dream world. Creating a world with a brush stroke? In reality, that's a legendary realm. I can't do it, but this isn't reality. This is a dream. In my own dreamland, I can do everything I can imagine. Yen Chuan's eyes flashed with a glimmer of light. Picking up the brush, Yen Chuan wrote a large character on the east side of the Great Dream Dynasty's map. Qin. As soon as the word Qin was spoken, there was a lot of noise in the map. Hiss. Roar. Kill. Endless neighs of horses and the roars of thousands of soldiers could be heard. The whole area around the word Qin seemed to be emitting rays of black light, slowly eroding an area that was about the size of the Great Dream Dynasty's territory. This, husband, why is there a sound in the map? Imo Yushi said in surprise. This is the east of the Great Dream Dynasty. A dynasty called Qin has been born. Thousands of soldiers and horses, listen to my command. Ah! Imo Yushi was confused. Yen Chuan didn't stop. Instead, he continued to write around the Great Dream Dynasty's map. Zhao. Han. Wei. Wu. Shu. Tang. Ming. Qin, Zhao, Han, Wei, Shu, Wu, Tang, Ming. As soon as the 8 words appeared, they formed 8 different colored maps, surrounding the Great Dream Dynasty's territory in the center. Chapter 90. Hiss. Roar. Kill. I'm invincible. In the map, the roars of countless soldiers could be heard. Waves of murderous aura seemed to be spewing out from the map. The 8 great dynasties had a grand and boundless aura. Yan Chuan looked at this scene with satisfaction. Mo Yushi, who was at the side, hugged Yan Chuan's arm, her face full of fear. Husband! This. Mo Yushi was so frightened that she did not know what to say. Don't ask why. You just need to know that I won't harm you. Yan Chuan said gently. In the past, even though Mo Yushi was Yan Chuan's wife, she might have been suspicious and anxious. However, after escaping from the wolf's mouth, Mo Yushi no longer had any doubts and nodded naturally. These days, you've been acting a little different. I don't understand. However, I believe you. You told me not to ask, so I won't ask. Mo Yushi said gently. You'll understand in the future. Yan Chuan said gently. Mo Yushi leaned on Yan Chuan's shoulder emotionally. Qin, Zhao, Han, Wei, Shu, Wu, Tang, Ming. 8th King, listen to my command. Gather all of our forces and ambush the Great Dream Empire. Wait for my command. Yan Chuan shouted at the map. Roar! In the map, there was a roar in unison. 2 months later, in the palace of the Great Dream Dynasty. The emperor of the Great Dream Dynasty was having a secret meeting with an important official. Your Majesty, the neighboring countries have been restless recently. They seem to be making a big move. According to the reports, the 8 great kingdoms are preparing their troops and preparing for war at any time. Do you know where they're going? Great Dream Emperor asked. I don't know. Since you don't know, then investigate further. I don't have time to care about this now. Great Dream Emperor said. Your Majesty, how can you ignore the country's affairs for a woman? How dare you? Great Dream Emperor glared. Your Majesty, for the sake of Dream Country, even if I die, I will make your Majesty realize that Mo Yushi is a disaster. Bastard, I don't need you to teach me about my matters. Scram! Great Dream Emperor shouted. Your Majesty! The officials all knelt down. Men, drag him away! Great Dream Emperor shouted. A group of guards quickly dragged the ministers away. Just as the officials were about to leave, King of Nightmares dragged his frail body into the room. Your Majesty! Nightmare handed over a jade box. The Great Dream Emperor took the jade box. Inside the jade box was a fist-sized red bead. The red bead emitted a faint red light. Your Majesty, this is the poison-fixing bead that I have condensed using half of my power. Wherever the poison-fixing bead is located, the poison-fixing bead will neutralize all poisonous fog and smoke within a 10-mile radius. Nightmare said proudly. Good. With this poison-fixing bead, I don't need to fear the assassination of that ghost city grass. I can use all my strength to snatch Mo Yushi. Great Dream Emperor said excitedly. Not only that, when Yan Chuan took Mo Yushi, we must torture him even more. Not only physically, but also mentally. We must kill his entire family in front of him, so that he will be in so much pain that he will wish he was dead and lose all hope. The Nightmare Lord said. Yes, I want him to die miserably. Great Dream Emperor nodded. And Mo Yushi, Your Majesty. Back then, she didn't know what was good for her. Your Majesty must punish her. Nightmare continued. That's right. I want to kill Yan Chuan in front of her. Great Dream Emperor nodded like a puppet. Chapter 91. All right, Your Majesty, go all out. The incubus smiled evilly. Men! The Great Dream Emperor shouted. An official walked in. Pass down the order to the military town of Mingzhou City. Capture everyone from the Yen family and the Mo family. The Great Dream Emperor shouted. Your Majesty, do you want to capture everyone? Pass down the order to the military town. I'm worried that if the commotion is too big, the Yen family and the Mo family will receive the news in advance and escape capture. The official frowned slightly. It's fine. The entire Mingzhou city is filled with my spies. The Yen family and the Mo family won't be able to escape. The incubus smiled evilly. That's good. The official replied. Not good. The incubus's expression suddenly changed. Imperial tutor, what's wrong? The Great Dream Emperor was puzzled. The incubus closed his eyes for a moment and suddenly opened them. How is that possible? Why are all the spies I set up in Mingzhou City dead? Who died? I know. It must be the Ghost City grass. The incubus immediately exclaimed. I have the poison fixing pearl. Why should I be afraid of the Ghost City grass? The Great Dream Emperor said. The incubus turned to look at the poison fixing pearl. His face twitched and a wave of depression surged from his heart. The poison fixing pearl is useless. The incubus said sullenly. This spiritual item had consumed half of his strength. The incubus actually didn't need it before it could be used. The incubus was extremely conflicted. Why did he ignite the Ghost City grass? Is Yen Chuan crazy? Why did I meet such a person who doesn't follow common sense? Nothing good has happened since I entered this dream. The incubus was depressed. Your Majesty, there's an urgent report from Mingzhou. A voice came from outside the hall. Come in. The Great Dream Emperor shouted. Soon, an official entered the hall. Your Majesty, the soldiers and civilians of Mingzhou City have rebelled. The official said. Rebelled? The Great Dream Emperor's expression changed. Mingzhou City, on top of the southern city tower. Yen Chuan placed his hands on the railings of the city tower and stared into the distance. Outside the city, an army of 100,000 was already gathered in all directions, eyeing Mingzhou's city gate tower with hostility. There was a commander's platform in the center. Great Dream Emperor, dressed in dragon robes, sat on a dragon throne, staring coldly at Yen Chuan. Behind Great Dream Emperor was a black-robed nightmare demon. Roar! 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 The army of 100,000 roared, their roars shaking the heavens. The Great Dream Emperor stretched out his hand, and the three armies immediately quieted down. Yen Chuan, how dare you? Great Dream Emperor shouted. Who do you think you are? Yen Chuan said indifferently. Bastard, when I break through the city, I'll definitely cut you into 1,000 pieces. Great Dream Emperor shouted coldly. Destroy the city. Mingzhou City was 80 feet high and 30 feet thick. How could it be breached? With just the few of you. Yen Chuan said disdainfully. How long can you defend? The food in the city can support you for a month at most, right? Great Dream Emperor said coldly. Yen Chuan glanced disdainfully at Great Dream Emperor and ignored him. Instead, he looked at the black-robed Nightmare Demon. Nightmare Demon, puppet Great Dream Emperor, interesting, right? Yen Chuan said indifferently. You know me. You're awake. The Nightmare Demon was shocked. What do you think? Yen Chuan said coldly. He stared at the Nightmare Demon. How can you be awake? How can you be awake? Why can't I be awake? Yen Chuan said with a faint smile. I know, no wonder you wanted to use the Ghost City grass to poison the entire Mingzhou City. The Nightmare Demon shouted. This is my dream, but there are traces of you everywhere. Only by cleaning Mingzhou City can I make you lose control of it. Yen Chuan said indifferently. Chapter 92. Humph, the dream realm is so big. What is a bright prefecture city? I control the entire dream realm. Great Dream Dynasty's various provinces and towns will soon have an endless army rushing over. Once Bright Prefecture City is breached, you and Imo Yushi will become my prisoners. As long as I don't let you wake up, you'll live in this world forever. I'll slowly play you to death. Nightmare said hatefully. While talking, Great Dream Emperor and the 100,000 soldiers were all like puppets. Clearly, it was as Yen Chuan said, all controlled by Nightmare. You control the world? An endless army? Yen Chuan smiled faintly. Report. Reporting to your majesty, the Great Qin state in the east has invaded with all its might. Now, they have already captured 16 cities of our Yong prefecture. The scout said in panic. Great Qin. How did it come to Great Qin? Nightmare's face fell. Report. Great Zhao invaded with all its might, 12 cities fell. Report. Great Wei invaded with all its might, 14 cities fell. Report. Reports of defeat came in continuously. On the commander platform, Great Dream Emperor's expression changed repeatedly. Nightmare was also abnormally shocked. Impossible, 8 countries invading at the same time. Why at this time? Nightmare said in disbelief. Suddenly lifting his head, he saw Yen Chuan smiling coldly. You created 8 countries again? This is impossible. Nightmare cried out in shock. Dreaming, naturally, whatever I want, I have it. Ha 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 ha. Yen Chuan said with a laugh. The King of Nightmares looked at Yen Chuan in shock. How much do you know about my nightmare race? Nightmare said worriedly. How much do you know? Just as you said, if no one in the outside world woke me up and you didn't let me wake up, even if I died in the dream, I wouldn't wake up and would only enter a deeper level of the dream realm. Similarly, in the real world, if I don't wake up, you can forget about leaving my dream realm too. Now, even if you let me wake up, I won't agree either. Yen Chuan said with a glare. How did you know? Nightmare asked in disbelief. I also know that in order to enter my dreamscape, you fused your power with my dreamscape. In other words, you fused with the Great Dream Dynasty. The more cities the Great Dream Dynasty loses, the more power you lose. The Nightmare clan created nightmares for others. Today, I'll also create a nightmare for you. Yen Chuan smiled. No, it's impossible for you to know the secret of my Nightmare clan. Impossible. The Nightmare Lord cried out in shock. Reporting. The Great Qin army did not stop and occupied another 2 cities of our dynasty. Reporting. With the loss of one city after another, the power of the Nightmare Lord became weaker and weaker. Attack the city. Attack the city by force. The King of Nightmares screamed. Attack the city. Great Dream Emperor commanded like a puppet. Roar. The 100,000 strong army charged towards Mingzhou city. Guard the city gates strictly. Fire arrows from the city tower. Yen Chuan ordered. Yes. A large number of soldiers on the city gate tower responded loudly. Yen Chuan glanced at the furious Nightmare Lord in the distance and smiled. Why is it like this? I'm the greatest Nightmare clan. I'm the Nightmare Lord. In the dream, I should be the one in charge. Why is it like this? The Nightmare Lord muttered to himself. Inside the city, Yama Manor. Ah! Mo Yushi's pained cries rang out continuously. Young madam, put in more effort. Put in more effort. It's about to come out. Ah! Woo! Ah! Mo Yushi cried out in pain. Young madam, put in more effort. I can already see the head. It's about to come out. It's about to come out. Chapter 93. On the city gate tower. Yen Chuan coldly stared at Nightmare Lord. The 2 armies clashed. Although they had siege weapons, Yen Chuan's army was endless. In the dream, Yen Chuan controlled Bright Province City. As long as Yen Chuan moved his brush, he could create an endless army. The army outside the city could not enter. Reporting. The Great Han has invaded 3 more cities of our dynasty. Reporting. The Great Tang has invaded 6 more cities of our dynasty. In the dream, time was a hazy concept. News that should have taken a month or even several months was now coming in an unending stream. The constant reports of defeat did not seem to give Nightmare Lord a chance to catch his breath. Impossible! Impossible! Nightmare Lord Jiaohu cried out. Reporting. The capital of the Great Dream Empire has been occupied by the Great Qin. Another scout sorrowfully cried out. What? Nightmare Lord's body swayed as he felt dizzy. Reporting. The Great Tang army has appeared 50 li to the west. Reporting. The Great Zhao army has appeared 40 li to the south. Reporting. More and more bad news came. Bright Province City had yet to be taken, but the armies of the Eight Kingdoms had already surrounded it. The armies of the Eight Kingdoms slowly spread out, and it was possible to see a cloud of dust rising from all sides. No, no! Nightmare Lord roared in disbelief. Kill! Yan Chuan roared. The gates of Bright Province City opened, and a large number of soldiers charged out, joining the armies of the Eight Kingdoms. They began to slaughter the few remaining soldiers. How could this be? State Preceptor, what do we do? The Emperor of the Great Dream Empire asked. What could Nightmare Lord do? After all, this was Yan Chuan's dream, and he was just an outsider. While Yan Chuan did not know how to control the dream, he could throw it into chaos. But now, Yan Chuan's will was extremely firm, and he could not interfere. Kill! With 1 million soldiers, the Great Dream Empire's last bit of strength was incapable of resisting. In the blink of an eye, all of them were about to die. Yan Chuan stood on top of the city gate tower and coldly watched the scene below. Yan Chuan was best at fighting on the battlefield. In his dream, he was naturally invincible. The Great Dream Dynasty was completely under the control of Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan stared at the King of Nightmares. At this moment the incubus was surrounded by battle cries, but no one rushed to him. With the fall of Great Dream Dynasty, Nightmare Lord knew that all his plans had failed. Even in a dream, there's a day when I'm defeated. I'm Nightmare Lord. Nightmare Lord said bitterly. Yan Chuan, I can't do anything to you, and you can't do anything to me. The King of Nightmares said with hatred. After saying that, the Nightmare Lord soared into the sky and was about to flee toward the south. You could still borrow the power of Dream Fuse to escape, but now, the Great Dream Dynasty has been destroyed, and the Dream Realm is under my control. You want to leave? Yan Chuan glared. Roar! In Yan Chuan's eyes, 1,000 zhang-long golden dragon rushed out. In the dream, Yan Chuan's will was the golden dragon. It was as if the golden dragon had a physical form, and its dragon might was boundless and invincible. The King of Nightmares, who was fleeing, turned his head and immediately saw the domineering golden dragon. Cultivating the spirit and returning to the void? You are an emptiness realm expert. How is this possible? How can you be an emptiness realm expert? The King of Nightmares cried out in surprise. Roar! The golden dragon grabbed the King of Nightmares with its claws, and immediately, the King of Nightmares had nowhere to run. The golden dragon flew back and circled around Yan Chuan. Chapter 94. Refining the spirit back to the void? Emptiness realm expert? That's impossible. Aren't you immortal? The King of Nightmares screamed. I can't do anything to you. Yan Chuan sneered. That feng shui master lied to me. He said a virtual realm expert wouldn't enter a feng shui formation. How did you get in? He lied to me. Ah! The King of Nightmares screamed. A feng shui master? You mean the feng shui formation you're guarding? Yan Chuan asked. Senior, please spare me. I can be your servant. The King of Nightmares cried out in panic. Yan Chuan shook his head. Servant? I don't trust you. No, I can swear an oath, Senior. The King of Nightmares screamed. Swear? I don't believe that. Besides, if you don't die, the feng shui formation we're trapped in won't break. Yan Chuan shook his head. The golden dragon opened its mouth and spewed golden flames at the King of Nightmares. No! Ah! The King of Nightmares screamed in agony. The King of Nightmares' body seemed to melt under the golden flames. The power of the virtual realm. The King of Nightmares couldn't resist it at all. Yan Chuan looked on coldly. Rumble. The dreamscape shook as if an earthquake had struck. As the King of Nightmares died, the entire dreamscape seemed to be on the verge of destruction. Inside the city, in hell. Wah! Wah! Congratulations, young madam. It's a son. It's a son. The midwife ran to Mo Yushi with the baby in her arms. Mo Yushi looked weak. Her hair was plastered to her face with sweat. She looked at the baby the midwife handed her. Her face was full of love. Dong en, my dong en. Mo Yushi hugged the baby weakly. Rumble. Suddenly, the room began to shake. Ah! Not good. It's an earthquake. The household servant screamed. Mo Yushi looked around in shock. Wah! Wah! The baby cried as if he was afraid of the end of the world. Ah! The golden dragon's golden flames completely melted the nightmare demon, turning it into a transparent liquid. With one last cry, the heavens and earth were torn apart. It's time to wake up. Yan Chuan let out a long sigh. Rumble. The dreamscape collapsed. The golden dragon grabbed the liquid form of the nightmare and rushed into Yan Chuan's body. Meanwhile, in the underworld, Mo Yushi hugged the baby and looked around in horror. As the surroundings crumbled, everything became illusory. As for the baby in her arms, it gradually faded and disappeared. No, Dong En, Dong En. Mo Yushi screamed crazily. Buzz! The dreamscape shattered. The people in the real world woke up. Qing Long, White Tiger, and Lu Jin were standing guard outside the tent. Suddenly, they heard the sound of Jiaohu coming from inside the tent. Dong En, my Dong En. Mo Yushi's sorrowful cries came from inside the tent. The saintess is awake. Everyone's expressions changed as they rushed into the tent. There were 2 large beds in the tent. Mo Yushi's eyes were closed, and she seemed to be holding something in her hands. Saintess! Saintess! Qing Long and White Tiger said anxiously. On the other side, Yan Chuan's eyes suddenly opened. Lord! Lu Jin immediately went forward. Brush! Yan Chuan said anxiously. Yes! Lu Jin quickly took out Yan Chuan's jade brush. Yan Chuan grabbed the brush, and a transparent liquid suddenly appeared in front of him. The liquid touched the brush and was immediately sucked in. After it was sucked in, the jade brush emitted a faint mist. It was dreamy and illusory. Lord, what is this? Lu Jin asked in shock. This is the dream nature obtained from refining the Nightmare Lord. With this dream nature, it will add a lot of color to this brush. This brush will be called Dream Immortal in the future. Yan Chuan said with satisfaction. On the other side. Hugh. Mo Yushi woke up from her dream with tears streaming down her face. Dong En. Mo Yushi woke up with a sorrowful cry. Saintess. Qing Long and White Tiger shouted. Mo Yushi was slightly stunned. A large amount of memories flooded her mind, and she remembered everything in the blink of an eye. After remembering everything, Mo Yushi stopped shouting. She took a deep breath and looked at Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan also looked at Mo Yushi. When their eyes met, their bodies froze. Although it was a dream, the couple's life was still vivid in their minds. They even gave birth to a son, Yan Dong En. Yan Chuan took a deep breath and nodded at Mo Yushi. Yan Chuan knew that a dream was just a dream. Mo Yushi could not be the same as in a dream. Seeing Yan Chuan nod, Mo Yushi's eyes became more complicated. With an indescribable emotion, she nodded at Yan Chuan. The two looked at each other awkwardly and let go of each other's gaze. Chapter 95. Holy Maiden, are you all right? Qing Long asked anxiously. Gently shaking her head, She said, you guys go out first. Yes. Qing Long and White Tiger replied. Go out first. Yan Chuan said to Lu Jin. Yes. Lu Jin respectfully withdrew from the tent. In the blink of an eye, only Yan Chuan and Mo Yushi were left in the tent. Mo Yushi sat up and looked at Yan Chuan with a complicated expression. She didn't know where to begin. The nightmare is gone. Are you feeling better? Yan Chuan asked softly. Taking a deep breath, Mo Yushi's face broke into a smile. Thank you, Prince Yan. Mo Yushi took several deep breaths. The cage is broken. Don't worry about Ding Wugu and the others. The inner formation isn't that easy to break. Once we leave the cage, we'll reach the deepest part of the feng shui formation, Yan Chuan said. The deepest part? Mo Yushi's expression changed. Correct. This feng shui cage is both a desperate situation and a shortcut. It's not easy to break it, but once it's broken, we'll reach the deepest part. Fortune and disaster are interdependent. Who can say for sure? Yan Chuan smiled. You know a lot. Mo Yushi blurted out. Perhaps the love in the dream had been too unforgettable. At this moment, Mo Yushi's eyes revealed a sliver of emotion that she didn't even notice. It was very faint. Neither of them noticed. Yan Chuan quietly looked at Mo Yushi for a while, then gently stood up. I'm here. I'll help you get the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus. With that, Yan Chuan slowly stepped out of the tent. Mo Yushi stared at Yan Chuan's back view in a daze. The words "I'm here" kept echoing in her mind. Although it was just 3 words, they were heartwarming. Mo Yushi looked at Yan Chuan and was momentarily speechless. After Yan Chuan walked out of the tent, Mo Yushi once again took deep breaths to shake off the interference of the dream world. Yan Chuan walked out of the tent and saw 3,000 soldiers gathered outside. Lord! Hua Guang said respectfully. Lord, 8 gates have appeared in all directions. Has the cage been broken? Lu Jin asked excitedly. Qing Long and White Tiger have also gone to investigate the 8 gates. Hua Guang said from the side. Yan Chuan looked around. Indeed, there were 8 gates on the walls. Qing Long and White Tiger were investigating. How long have I been asleep? Yan Chuan turned around and looked at Lu Jin. 2 months. Luckily, Lord ate a few fasting pills before sleeping. Lu Jin said. 2 months. Then what do you eat? Yan Chuan asked curiously. Qing Long gave us the Peak Qi Jing demonic deer last time. It allowed us to hold on for a while. After that, Qing Long and White Tiger gave us 3 more demonic beasts. Although they were not as strong as the demonic deer, they were still Qi Jing demonic beasts. We owe them a lot these days. Hua Guang said excitedly. Oh? If that's the case, then your cultivation has improved? Yan Chuan's eyes lit up. Yes, my subordinates are at LV9 of the Strength Realm. 10 of them are at LV8 of the Strength Realm. The rest are at LV7 of the Strength Realm. In the entire Yen state, our protector battalion will be the best. Hua Guang said excitedly. Not far away, the 3,000 soldiers also said with admiration in their eyes. Their excitement was indescribable. Good, I am very happy. Yan Chuan said with satisfaction. But LV7 of the Strength Realm? LV8? LV9? Is it enough? I think it's still far from enough. There are still the Essence, Qi, and Immortal realms above. Do you want to follow me to the Immortals' territory? Yan Chuan looked at the Silver Armor Battalion. The Immortals' territory? Yes. The 3,000 soldiers said excitedly. Chapter 96. Alright, remember what you said. Now, I'm going to reorganize the Lord Protector Battalion. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Change the Lord Protector Battalion to the 1st Legion. Hua Guang will appoint the 1st Legion commander. 5 people will be a sergeant, 10 people will be a sergeant, and 100 people will be a sergeant. 1,000 people will be a sergeant. Hua Guang will choose and reorganize the legion. Yan Chuan ordered. Yes. The 3,000 soldiers answered loudly. Changing the military system would definitely change the status of many generals in the army, causing the morale of the army to fluctuate. However, at this moment, no one objected. As Hua Guang reorganized the 1st Legion, Lu Jin set up a table for Yan Chuan. She took out a scroll and took out several plates of delicacies from the scroll. Lord, these are the demonic beast meat left for the Lord. The Lord hasn't eaten anything for 2 months. Please eat. Lu Jin said respectfully. Yan Chuan nodded. Although he had fasting pills to support him for 2 months, how could fasting pills compare to meat? Yan Chuan ate the meat while waiting for Hua Guang to reorganize the 1st Legion. At this moment, Mo Yushi also calmed down and walked out of the tent. She looked at Yan Chuan who was eating. Although her expression was normal, there was a complicated look in the depths of her eyes. Saintus, there are 8 entrances in the surroundings. Saintus and Prince Yen have already eliminated the incubus. Qing Long ran over and asked. Mo Yushi nodded. Then, which one should we enter? White Tiger asked. Mo Yushi walked in front of Yan Chuan. Prince Yen. Mo Yushi asked for help. Yan Chuan paused. It's already been 2 months. I don't mind waiting a little longer. Miss Mo, do you want to eat? We'll continue after eating. No need, we'll wait for Prince Yen. Mo Yushi shook her head. It was as if he was afraid to eat with Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan was eating the meat of a Qi Jing peak monster. There was no restraint at all. He kept eating. Lu Jin, who was standing at the side, had an indifferent expression at the beginning. However, she gradually revealed a worried expression. This Lord, even Hua Guang, who is at LV9 of the Strength Realm, wouldn't dare to eat so much. Lu Jin said worriedly. It's all right. Yan Chuan shook his head. Waves of Yuan Qi spread out in Yan Chuan's abdomen. A large amount of profound Qi flooded Yan Chuan's body. If it was someone else at LV7 of the Power Realm, they would have been bleeding from their 7 orifices. However, Yan Chuan's willpower was able to suppress the power of the primordial Qi, extracting and absorbing it continuously. Ka 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 ka. Yan Chuan's body emitted a series of bone-cracking sounds. Boom! With a loud sound, Yan Chuan's body glowed with a golden light, and a gentle breeze radiated from Yan Chuan's body. Congratulations, Prince Yen, for reaching LV8 of the Strength Realm. Qing Long said in a strange tone. It was the first time that Qing Long saw someone breaking through while eating. What? You can break through while eating? Of course, even though they had never seen it happen, Qing Long and the others could understand. With such a strong willpower, breaking through while meditating was just icing on the cake. After the meat was gone, Yan Chuan exhaled a mouthful of foul air. He put down his chopsticks and looked at Hua Guang, who was not far away. Lord, the 1st Legion has been reorganized. Hua Guang said seriously. Good, let's get ready to go. Yan Chuan nodded. Yes. Prince Yen, which of the 8 exits should we go through? Qing Long asked. We don't need to go through the door. The nightmare is dead, and the cage is no longer protected by the dragon bloodline. We can just destroy it. Yan Chuan smiled. Ha! Qing Long was slightly surprised. Do it. Mo Yushi said. Yes. Qing Long nodded. Qing Long reached out his hand and hit a wall. Chapter 97. A cyan palm print blasted out with a loud bang. It slammed into the wall. Boom! There was a loud bang and the ground shook violently. At the place where the palm landed, rubble flew everywhere, and smoke and dust rose. Although it was hazy, they could vaguely see some flowers and trees. Did it really break? White Tiger was delighted. Boom! Boom! White Tiger also attacked in all directions. Waves of impact destroyed the surrounding walls. The roof above looked like it was about to fall, but it gradually disappeared halfway. All of the bricks in the hall had disappeared, as if they had never existed in the first place. Why is it gone? White Tiger was shocked. The feng shui array is illusory and real at the same time. When it's useful, it's real. When it's useless, it's fake. Yan Chuan explained. Feng shui is really strange. White Tiger shook his head. Everyone looked around. It was like a forest, but the forest was surrounded by fog. They could only see 100 feet away. They couldn't see anything further. Prince Yen, where is this? Mo Yushi asked. We're here. This is the deepest part of the feng shui array. It's a world that seems illusory. The 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus you mentioned should be sealed somewhere here. Just look for it. Yan Chuan said softly. Okay. Mo Yushi nodded softly. Qing Long and White Tiger looked at Mo Yushi strangely. The saint had never acted like a little girl before. Mo Yushi seemed to have noticed her abnormality. Her face suddenly turned serious. Qing Long, White Tiger, start searching around. Yes. In the foggy forest, Yan Chuan and the others were looking for the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. Not far from them. In a valley shrouded in fog. Ah, snake, young Master Yang. Save me. A hoarse and unpleasant voice was heard. Boom. With a loud bang, two figures rushed out of the valley. The two figures landed on the mountain peak. It was Yang Zigu and Ding Wugu, who was blind in one eye. The two of them stood on the mountain and looked at the valley. The valley was like a swamp. Originally, it was covered by a large amount of wild grass. After Yang Zigu and Ding Wugu stirred it up, a large number of poisonous snakes suddenly swam out from the wild grass. Although the poisonous snake hadn't become a demonic beast, its colorful skin showed the intensity of its venom. Ding Wugu, it's just a bunch of poisonous snakes. What's wrong with you? You're even afraid of poisonous snakes? Yang Zigu frowned. Ding Wugu covered his blind eye that was oozing pus and said with grief and indignation, if it was before, I naturally wouldn't be afraid. But this eye of mine was blinded by Yan Chuan. We are feng shui masters, and our spiritual eyes are connected to the heart. It will take a long time for us to adapt to the blindness of one eye. Otherwise, why would I be trapped in these poisonous snakes? Oh? Blindness in one eye affects you that much? Yang Zigu asked in surprise. Ding Wugu gritted his teeth and said, Young Master Yang, I beg of you. I've already brought you to the deepest part of this place. With Mr. Monroe's ability, he will definitely be able to break the formation in the end. At that time, young Master Yang will obtain the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus and save the Saintess Yushi. That Yan Chuan will definitely come out. I only want to cut Yan Chuan into pieces to avenge my blind eye. Ding Wugu said hatefully. You want to kill Yan Chuan? Yang Ziga looked at Ding Wugu. Yes, I want Yan Chuan dead. I want all 3,000 of his soldiers dead. I want revenge. Ding Wugu said with a ferocious expression. Good. Yang Zigu said with an evil smile. He had been unhappy with Yan Chuan for a long time. Ding Wugu wanted to kill him, so naturally, he could do him a favor. Chapter 98. Xiao. A red light shot from afar. It landed in front of Yang Zigu. Rosefinch? You found the 10,000 Wonders bewitching lotus? Yang Zigu asked. No, not yet, but I sensed Big Brother. Qing Long and White Tiger are here too. The Saintess should be here too. Rosefinch said excitedly. Oh? Yang Zigu raised his eyebrows. Impossible. Aren't they in the cage? Ding Wugu shouted. It's true. The four of us have a secret technique that allows us to sense each other in short distance. Xuanwu should be looking for the Saintess. Rosefinch shook his head. We went through a lot of trouble and broke dozens of arrays to get here. Aren't Yen Chuan and the rest in the cage? Could it be that Yen Chuan lied to me again? He lied to me again. Bastard! Ding Wugu's eyes were ferocious. Yang Ziga's expression changed, so, Xuanwu went to find them? Yes, young Master Yang, let's meet up with the Saintess. Rosefinch said. Ding Wugu's expression flickered. He looked at the snake cave in the valley and squinted his eyes. No, let the Saintess and the rest come here. Ding Wugu said immediately. Ha! Rosefinch didn't understand. We agreed to wait here for Mr. Monroe. You know Mr. Monroe's ability. Maybe he already found some clues about the 10,000 Wonders bewitching lotus. It'll be bad if he can't find us. We'll wait here for Mr. Monroe. You lead the Saintess here. Ding Wugu explained. After saying that, Ding Wugu gave Yang Zhijiu a look. Yang Zigu understood and nodded, yes, we'll wait here. Seeing that Yang Zigu was insistent, Rosefinch could only agree, all right, young Master Yang, be careful. We'll come quickly. All right. Yang Zigu nodded. Swish. Rosefinch took a step and shot into the distance. When Rosefinch walked away, Ding Wugu immediately bowed to Yang Zigu. Young Master Yang, that Yen Chuan has definitely come out. I want all 3,000 of his soldiers to die from 10,000 snakes piercing their hearts. Ding Wugu pointed at the countless poisonous snakes in the valley and said with a sinister expression. 10,000 snakes piercing the heart. Yang Zigu's expression changed. They will die in this valley. There are hundreds of thousands of poisonous snakes in this valley. Young Master Yang is a Qi gene expert. I would like to trouble young Master Yang to set up a Qi wall around the valley to isolate the poisonous snakes. Once I lure Yen Chuan's army into the Qi wall, I will break the Qi wall and trap them in the snake cave. 10,000 snakes will pierce through their hearts. Ding Wugu said with hatred. Yen Chuan was on a hill. Xuanwu and Rosefinch suddenly came in front of Mo Yushi. Xuanwu, Rosefinch, it really is you. Qing Long said with a smile. Saint, big brother, second brother. The two were also delighted. When did you get here? Mo Yushi asked anxiously. Just yesterday. We just entered this place. Mr. Monroe said that this should be the deepest part of the valley. The 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus should be here. Rosefinch immediately said. So, did you find the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus? Mo Yushi asked worriedly. Not yet. We were searching in different directions when we suddenly sensed Big Brother's presence and came here. Xuanwu said. That's good. Mo Yushi let out a long sigh. Young Master Yang is waiting for Mr. Monroe over there. He asked me to bring the saint to meet up with him. Rosefinch said. Meet up? That's good. Mo Yushi showed a trace of confidence. Since they did not find the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus, Mo Yushi still had a chance to obtain it. Prince Yen. Mo Yushi looked at Yen Chuan. That's good. Lead the way. Yen Chuan smiled. Chapter 99. Prince Yen, I will pave the way for you. Qing Long immediately shouted. Rosefinch and Xuanwu looked at each other, their eyes filled with curiosity. Both of them could feel the change in everyone's attitude towards Yen Chuan. The Saintess was much friendlier to Yen Chuan, and Qing Long was extremely respectful to Yen Chuan. White Tiger saw that the two of them were puzzled and immediately shouted, Prince Yen saved Big Brother's life in the cage. You should be more polite to Prince Yen. Oh? The two of them looked serious. Then, they bowed respectfully to Yen Chuan. The four of them were as close as brothers. Although they did not know how Yen Chuan saved Qing Long, since White Tiger said so, it was a fact. The saving grace made the two of them feel grateful to Yen Chuan. Along the way, the army crossed mountains and rivers. With the four experts opening the way, the obstacles in the mountain path could be instantly removed, and the river could be instantly frozen. The army of 3,000 quickly arrived near Yangzigu. On the mountain peak, Yang Zigu and Ding Wugu looked coldly at the approaching army. 3,000 soldiers, not a single one died? Ding Wugu said with a gloomy face. Indeed, not a single one died. Yang Zigu raised his eyebrows. Young Master Yang can imagine, if not for Yen Chuan's deliberate design, why would we choose to enter the Yang Gate? Yen Chuan must have deliberately framed us. Otherwise, with so many mortals, how could nothing happen to them? Ding Wugu said with hatred. Indeed, after entering the Yang Gate, I almost lost my life once. Yang Zigu said with a gloomy face. So, I ask young Master Yang to support me later. Ding Wugu said again. Okay. Yang Zigu nodded. At this moment, Yen Chuan's army slowly approached them from afar. The army stopped, and Mo Yushi raised her head to look at Yang Zigu and Ding Wugu. Yen Chuan! Ding Wugu suddenly shouted. Yen Chuan narrowed his eyes and looked at Ding Wugu. All the soldiers looked at Ding Wugu, their eyes filled with ruthlessness. It turns out to be Feng Shui Master Ding. What? Are you missing an eye? Do you need to stand so high to see me? Yen Chuan said coldly. As the primary soul of the First Legion, Yen Chuan had a grudge with Ding Wugu. Naturally, he would not be polite. Humph, a mere mortal dog blinded me and tricked me into entering the Chaos Array. It deserves to die. Ding Wugu said coldly. Ding Wugu? Mo Yushi's eyes widened. Qing Long and White Tiger both glared at Ding Wugu. Yushi, this is a personal grudge between Ding Wugu and Yen Chuan. You don't have to worry about it. Yang Zigu said with a smile. Mortal dog? Ha! You're talking about yourself. Yen Chuan's eyes were filled with killing intent. Ding Wugu, are you crazy? Also, Yang Zigu, why are you shouting? Mo Yushi said unhappily. Yen Chuan, if you have the ability, don't hide behind a woman. I'll allow you to have an army of 3,000 to settle this grudge with me. How about it? Ding Wugu shouted again. Bastard! Mo Yushi glared. At this moment, Yen Chuan suddenly waved his hand and stopped Mo Yushi. Miss Mo, calm down. Yen Chuan said with a smile. After laughing, Yen Chuan turned to Ding Wugu and said, So, you want to challenge me? That's right. Do you have the guts? Ding Wugu said coldly. Ding Wugu, you're in the essence realm. How dare you challenge someone in the strength realm? Qing Long scolded. Humph. Ding Wugu snorted coldly. Mo Yushi naturally wanted to stop him. However, before she could say anything, Yen Chuan spoke first. Miss Mo, since Ding Wugu wants to challenge me, then please be my witness. Yen Chuan said solemnly. Chapter 100. You? Mo Yushi's expression became complicated. But when she thought of Yen Chuan's miraculous performance, her expression softened. Finally, she nodded and said, Since you want to, then fine. Xiao. On the mountain, Ding Wugu and Yang Zhijiu quickly descended the mountain and approached. Yushi, they have a personal grudge. You and I shouldn't interfere. Yang Zigu smiled and walked over. Yes, Saintess. Although I am in the essence realm, Yen Chuan also has 3,000 soldiers. Let's have a fair fight. No one should interfere. Ding Wugu said. Looking at Ding Wugu, Mo Yushi sneered. Fine, I won't interfere. no one is allowed to interfere. Mou, she said. Yes, no one is allowed to interfere. Yang Zigu thought that Mou she was giving him face and laughed. Prince Yen, be careful. Mou she said to Yen Chuan worriedly. Yen Chuan nodded. Yang Zigu saw Mou she's expression and frowned. But soon, he relaxed. He thought that he was overthinking. Yen Chuan, come. Let's go to the open area. Ding Wugu pointed at the valley and quickly walked over. Soon, he stopped in the middle of the valley. Yen Chuan smiled faintly and walked over. The 3,000 soldiers followed closely behind. However, after walking for a while, Yen Chuan's footsteps suddenly came to a halt. Yang Zigu and Ding Wugu's eyes narrowed. Yen Chuan happened to step on the edge of the ground. He found out? Yang Zigu muttered. What did he find out? Mou, she asked. No, nothing. Yang Zigu immediately denied. With Yen Chuan's past experience, how could he not feel that the soil on the ground was unusual? However, Yen Chuan did not say it out loud. Instead, he squatted down and tightened his shoelaces. Phew! Yang Zigu and Ding Wugu both let out a sigh of relief. Ferocious tiger army formation. Yen Chuan shouted. Roar! The 3,000 soldiers roared in unison. Immediately, they assumed the military formation posture that they had rehearsed a few days ago. Mortal dogs are mortal dogs. No matter how many there are, they are still trash. Ding Wugu sneered. As he spoke, Ding Wugu once again took out a small black ball from his sleeve. He threw it with all his might. Pang! The small ball exploded, instantly forming billowing black gas that enveloped Ding Wugu. Hee, look, how many of you will die this time? Ding Wugu laughed evilly. Just like several months ago, Ding Wugu used the same move. With a wave of his hand, 100 streaks of poison gas shot towards the 3,000 soldiers. In the past, it was this move that had killed Yen Chuan's generals. Tigers roar in the forest. Yen Chuan shouted. The military formation changed. The 3,000 soldiers immediately activated their blood and qi. Red light gushed out from their bodies. The light broke free from the military formation and instantly condensed into the shape of a blood-red tiger. Roar! 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 The 3,000 soldiers roared in unison. The blood-red tiger suddenly opened its mouth and roared at the 100 streaks of black gas. Roar! The blood-red tiger roared. Instantly, it formed a shockwave that went straight for the 100 streaks of poison gas. Pang! The 100 streaks of poison gas were knocked back and rushed towards Ding Wugu. Rumble! Ding Wugu's surroundings seemed to be blown by a strong wind. The black gas that protected Ding Wugu shook violently. Although Ding Wugu was unharmed, his eyes were filled with surprise. The power of the Essence Realm? Ding Wugu said in surprise. A Strength Realm mortal can also activate the power of the Essence Realm when setting up a military formation? Tigers roar in the forest? Yang Zigu raised his eyebrows. Good! Qing Long laughed excitedly. Mou she also secretly sighed. Her eyes revealed a trace of relief. Fierce tiger descends the mountain. Yen Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes. The 3,000 soldiers roared excitedly. The mysterious power of the Essence Realm. The 3,000 soldiers never thought that their military formation would be able to activate the power of the Essence Realm. At this moment, they admired Yen Chuan even more. They also paid more attention to the fierce tiger army formation that they had practiced for the past 2 months. According to the military formation, the 3,000 soldiers slowly walked towards the valley. The blood-red tiger image of the soldiers enveloped the 3,000 soldiers and also approached the valley step by step. Fierce tiger descends the mountain, tiger's ferocious might. Chapter 101. Tiger descends the mountain. Ferocious tiger. As the 3,000-strong army stepped forward, the ferocious tiger condensed from blood also stepped forward slowly, staring fiercely at Ding Wugu. The power of the military formation can actually produce such an effect. Looks like we don't have to worry about Prince Yan's safety. Qing Long exhaled deeply. Yang Zigu listened to Qing Long's words and frowned slightly. After all, Ding Wugu was also in the Essence Realm. If the 3,000-strong army could produce the power of the Essence Realm, Ding Wugu might not be able to win. Yang Zigu wasn't too worried. After all, Ding Wugu still had his own backup plan. Snake Cave. A huge snake cave. At this moment, the 3,000-strong army slowly stepped into the snake cave that was covered by grass and air walls. Ding Wugu, Yan Chuan and the 3,000-strong army all stood on top of the snake cave, as if they didn't feel anything. They were still opposing each other. Ordinary dogs can also set up a formation. Amazing, but you will still die. Ding Wugu laughed sinisterly. Vicious and vicious, you are also a kind of talent, but unfortunately, you killed my soldiers. This enmity is set. I have no reason to spare you. Yan Chuan said indifferently. Spare me? Your broken formation, once I charge in, it will scatter, with just them. Ordinary dogs are ordinary dogs, you can't hurt a single hair of mine. Ding Wugu said disdainfully. A single hair? Weren't your eyes blinded? Yan Chuan laughed. Ding Wugu snorted in anger. While snorting, Ding Wugu took out another black ball. He chanted a strange incantation, and the black ball in his hand suddenly trembled. Ding Wugu's eyes focused, and he pushed the black ball. Bang! The black ball suddenly exploded, and turned into a black fog with a diameter of 30 feet. In the black fog, there seemed to be countless skulls, churning non-stop. The skulls flashed with a faint green light, and the countless skulls let out ghostly wails and howls. Ahahaha. Woo 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 woo. Keek keek. 10,000 ghosts, heed my command. Eat, eat, eat. Ding Wugu formed a seal in his hand, controlling the black fog of 10,000 ghosts. The black fog of 10,000 ghosts descended from the sky and pounced on the army of 3,000. Boom! The black fog of 10,000 ghosts collided with the Blood Fiend Tiger. The Blood Fiend was like a great tonic. Amidst the black fog of ghosts, the skulls excitedly gnawed on it. Ahaha! Tens of thousands of ghosts faced him head-on, gnawing at the ferocious tiger. The scene was oppressive, as if they would bite him in the next moment. If they had not followed Yan Chuan for a period of time, the 3,000 soldiers would have been scared silly. But even though they had seen so much, there were still several dozen people who were terrified. The moment they felt fear, the ferocious tiger army formation had a flaw. What's there to fear from a mere evil spirit? Change formation, tiger body jolt. Yan Chuan shouted. Yan Chuan's voice was filled with a sense of inviolability. When they heard it, they immediately felt a sense of determination. The previously fearful soldiers immediately calmed down. Moving quickly, the military formation changed. Blood chi poured into the spear and pierced it into the sky. Roar! The 3,000 soldiers roared, and it was like the roar of the Blood Fiend Tiger. As the Blood Fiend Tiger roared, its body shook violently. Instantly, some of the black fog around it was scattered. The thousands of skulls that were staring at the tiger and gnawing on its blood chi were also shaken and scattered in all directions. Boom! The black fog of 10,000 ghosts was forced back. The military formation once again blocked the attack. The confidence of the 3,000 soldiers instantly increased. The cultivation of the 3,000 soldiers could not compare to the Essence Realm Shouja, but they may have killed more people than the Essence Realm Shouja. When the Blood Fiend was activated, the ferocious tiger became even more bloodthirsty. Chapter 102. The tiger stared at the skulls around it. Its eyes were filled with viciousness. Ghost Fog? The lowest level magical item in Feng Shui. It is indeed worthy of the worst Feng Shui master. Yan Chuan said disdainfully. Who do you think is the worst feng shui master? Ding Wugu was already furious when he saw that the black fog did not work. After being mocked by Yan Chuan, he became even more furious. Even mortals can't do anything. Who do you think is the worst feng shui master? Yan Chuan continued to provoke him. You! A feng shui master like you is a disgrace to all feng shui masters. I think you should tie your hands and beg for death. Bastard! Ding Wugu charged over angrily. Seeing that Ding Wugu had lost his mind, Yan Chuan's eyes became brighter. This was the effect he wanted. Once he lost his mind, it was easy to make mistakes. Ding Wugu charged over. As his hand seals changed, the black fog suddenly surrounded Ding Wugu and enveloped him. Man and fog as one. When the man and fog became one, the black fog suddenly expanded by more than 3 times. Yan Chuan, die! Ding Wugu's angry roar came from the black fog. Suddenly, a ghastly white skeletal claw with a diameter of 10 feet shot out from the black fog and clawed at Yan Chuan. The skeleton claw was surrounded by a large number of skulls. Ghost energy filled the sky and it was very powerful. Tiger Qi gathering. Yan Chuan shouted. Yes! The 3,000 soldiers shouted. Their bodies moved slightly, and with the help of the military formation, they poured their blood energy into Yan Chuan. From the outside, it looked like a huge blood tiger had suddenly charged into Yan Chuan's body. Heavenly Dragon Force. Yan Chuan punched out. Roar! The blood energy of the 3,000 soldiers, under the guidance of Yan Chuan's fist intent, turned into a bloody fist that was 6 meters long and fiercely smashed at the skeleton claw. Hong! The claw and fist collided. The huge impact scattered Ding Wugu's black fog. Dong 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 dong. A series of footsteps could be heard. When the black fog dispersed, Ding Wugu's figure was forced to retreat uncontrollably. Boom! Ding Wugu steadied himself after he was nearly 20 feet away. However, at this moment, Ding Wugu's mouth was overflowing with blood and his clothes were torn. He looked at Yan Chuan's group in disbelief. Yan Chuan's face was slightly pale, but the fighting spirit in his eyes was even stronger. The sleeve of his right arm, which he had used to punch, had been completely shattered, revealing his powerful arm. Not far away, Yang Ziga looked at this scene in shock. Impossible! Yan Chuan is only in the strength state. How could he defeat Ding Wugu? Yang Ziga's eyes widened in disbelief. Prince Yan borrowed the power of the 3,000 soldiers' blood and qi. That punch already has the power of the essence realm. Qing Long said excitedly. Military formation. Formations can actually be used like this. Mou, she said thoughtfully. Prince Yan will definitely win. White Tiger said excitedly. Not necessarily. Yang Ziga's eyes were filled with murderous intent. On the other side, Ding Wugu stood up slowly and wiped the corner of his mouth gently. He said with a vicious face, "That's all you got? Ha, stop pretending. My punch will definitely hurt your internal organs. If you continue to pretend, you will only get more hurt." Yan Chuan said disdainfully. Puff! Ding Wugu could no longer hold back and spat out a mouthful of black blood. After spitting out the black blood, Ding Wugu's face turned pale and his body went limp. You're only in the strength state. How can you? Ding Wugu said unwillingly. You don't need to know. You shouldn't have provoked me. Chapter 103. Archers. Yan Chuan shouted. Bang! 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 The soldiers quickly drew their bows and aimed at the heavily injured Ding Wugu. Gaga. Ding Wugu spat out black blood as he laughed viciously. Provoke you? I killed 2 of your subordinates, so what? They are just ordinary dogs. If I want to kill them, I will kill them. To die by my hands is your honor. You think you have won? Today, none of you will live. Receive my gift. Ding Wugu said hatefully. Fire! Pang! Ding Wugu smashed another black ball. Large amounts of black gas surrounded Ding Wugu. Xiao! 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 The rain of arrows was like that day. They once again smashed into the black gas surrounding Ding Wugu, causing the black gas to tremble. But they were unable to harm Ding Wugu. Within the black gas, Ding Wugu had a cold smile in his eyes. He smashed his palm against the ground. Boom! The sound of ice shattering could be heard. The ground of the battlefield suddenly shook. Ding Wugu forced himself to endure. He stepped forward, wanting to flee. The 3,000 soldiers felt the ground beneath their feet shake. They immediately wanted to investigate. Don't worry about that. Fire! Yan Chuan shouted. Yes! The 3,000 soldiers replied. Xiao! 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 Another rain of arrows flew forward. Although the heavily injured Ding Wugu was protected by the black gas, the impact of the rain of arrows still caused Ding Wugu to shift his position. He crashed into a large rock. Ding Wugu's face changed. Continue to fire. Yan Chuan shouted again. Xiao! Xiao! The rain of arrows did not stop. They viciously smashed into the black gas surrounding Ding Wugu. Like nails, they nailed Ding Wugu to the large rock. Stop! Ding Wugu shouted. But why would Yan Chuan listen to him? Pang! 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 On the ground, a large number of poisonous snakes suddenly appeared. The poisonous snakes were of different colors and were extremely bright. Clearly, their venom was extremely strong. Snake! Snake! Some soldiers were shocked. Continue to fire. Yan Chuan shouted. Yes! The soldiers shot arrows again. One arrow after another crashed into the black fog, preventing Ding Wugu from moving. No, stop! Jiaohu Ding Wugu said. Because at this moment, there were already over 1,000 snakes surrounding Ding Wugu. Although some were buried under the rain of arrows, there were still a large number of poisonous snakes slithering towards Ding Wugu through the rain of arrows. Hiss! All around were the hissing noises of poisonous snakes. The gloomy and cold penetrated the black gas, pressing towards Ding Wugu. Impossible, why don't you have any snakes? Ding Wugu looked in disbelief at the feet of Yan Chuan and the 3,000 soldiers. Logically speaking, Yan Chuan and the 3,000 soldiers were also standing in the vicinity of the snake cave. After Ding Wugu broke the qi wall on the ground, the venomous snakes should be everywhere. But now, there were more and more venomous snakes around Ding Wugu, while Yan Chuan did not have a single venomous snake. This isn't right, this isn't right. Yang Zigu exclaimed in surprise. Yang Zigu naturally knew about the qi wall set up by Yang Zigu, but where were the snakes? Where were the venomous snakes under Yan Chuan's feet? Snakes? Ha! Yan Chuan laughed disdainfully. Yan Chuan's cultivation technique, Heavenly Dragon Power, was created in his previous life, so it naturally contained the might of the Heavenly Dragon. When snakes sensed the Snake King, they would flee in fear, not to mention the might of the Heavenly Dragon. When Yan Chuan discovered the abnormality under his feet, he released his dragon might. Once the dragon might was released, the venomous snakes under the qi wall all fled, chasing towards Ding Wugu. Therefore, Yan Chuan did not have a single venomous snake around him, while Ding Wugu faced even more venomous snakes than before. Hiss! A small green snake suddenly broke through the black gas and coiled around Ding Wugu's arm. Caw! The snake bit down. Ah! Ding Wugu screamed. Chapter 104. Ah! Ding Wugu screamed. Bang! The green snake was shattered by Ding Wugu. However, the snake venom entered his body. Ding Wugu controlled the black gas around his body to block the rain of arrows, so he was unable to force out the snake venom with his full strength. Coupled with the fact that he was injured, Ding Wugu's face turned green in an instant. "Shoot!" Yan Chuan shouted. "Yes!" the group of soldiers replied. It was Ding Wugu who had wantonly killed his brothers. Now, he could finally take revenge. The soldiers were filled with hatred as they drew their bows and arrows to the maximum. He showed no mercy. They kept shooting. Yan Chuan didn't do it himself. At this moment, the opportunity to kill Ding Wugu was given to his subordinates. Although the compromise with Ding Wugu that day had basically faded in the hearts of the soldiers, there was still a trace of shadow. As a commander-in-chief, he had to give his soldiers absolute strength and confidence. Not a single shadow could be left behind. Otherwise, it would become a huge problem in the future. Yan Chuan was instilling in the hearts of the soldiers that as long as they followed him, they would not suffer any grievances. Shooting down the enemy was a way for the soldiers to vent their frustrations. After venting their frustrations, they would become even more loyal. Whoosh! Whoosh! There were too many snakes and too little meat. Even though a large number of arrows slid past, the venomous snakes continued to advance. In the blink of an eye, Ding Wugu was surrounded by thousands of poisonous snakes. Caw! 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 One by one, the poisonous snakes broke through the black gas and bit Ding Wugu's body. Ah! Ding Wugu screamed. "Young Master Yang, save me!" Ding Wugu shouted. In the distance, Yang Ziga's expression changed, and he was about to rush over. "Who?" Mo Yushi suddenly blocked in front of Yang Zigu. "Didn't you say it already? This is their personal grudge. It's best that we don't interfere." Mo Yushi smiled. Ding Wugu fell for Yan Chuan's evil scheme. "He's going to die," Yang Zigu said anxiously. "What evil scheme?" His skills were inferior, so he was just courting death. Qin Long said disdainfully from the side. "Saintess, save me, I'm here to help you, Saintess." Ding Wugu called out to Mo Yushi. "Help me? Before coming here, I took good care of you, but are you really helping me?" Mo Yushi said coldly. Ding Wugu's face gradually darkened. "No, you can't kill me. Mohina Dojin sent me to help you. If I die, you won't be able to answer to Mohina Dojin." Ding Wugu shouted. "Mohina Dojin? There's no need for you to worry about it. You invited me to witness your life and death battle. If you go back on your words, I won't be like you," Mo Yushi said in a low voice. "Ding Wugu, who do you think you are? You're just a half-baked feng shui master, how dare you threaten the Saintess?" Qin Long scolded. Young Master Yang, save me, I can help you, I can help you." Ding Wugu shouted at Yang Zigu. "Yushi!" Yang Zigu looked at Mo Yushi awkwardly. "Yang Zigu, you're Mohina Dojin's son. When you're outside, you represent Mohina Dojin. You won't go back on your words and make Mohina Dojin lose trust in the world, right?" Mo Yushi stared at Yang Zigu. Yang Zigu frowned and stared at Mo Yushi for a while. Finally, his brows relaxed and his expression became cheerful. "How could I?" Ding Wugu asked for it. "He can't blame anyone." Mo Yushi nodded in satisfaction. In the distance, Ding Wugu was instantly betrayed by everyone and showed a look of despair. "No, it shouldn't be like this, no." Ding Wugu spat out poisonous blood and screamed at the top of his lungs. Chapter 105. Whoosh! Suddenly, a white light came from afar and flew into the valley. The white light was confused. While he was confused, the white light shot towards Ding Wugu. "Mr. Monroe, save me, save me!" Ding Wugu shouted in joy. "Qin Long!" Mo Yushi shouted. Whoosh! The azure dragon instantly soared into the sky, blocking the white light in the blink of an eye. The white light stopped. It was Mr. Wenrua in white. Qing Long, what are you doing? Why are you not helping? Mr. Monroe frowned. Mr. Monroe, I respect you, but please don't interfere. Qing Long shook his head. Mr. Monroe, save me, save me. Ding Wugu shouted weakly. Mr. Monroe frowned and looked in Mo Yushi's direction. Mr. Monroe, please don't interfere. Mo Yushi shook her head. Saintess, please don't. I have found the Million Wonders demonic lotus, but I can't get it. We need a feng shui master. Mr. Monroe shook his head. You found the Million Wonders demonic lotus? Mo Yushi's expression changed. Yes, it's over there. I can see it, but there's a big shield outside and I can't get in. A feng shui master should have a way. Please let Ding Wugu go for now. Mr. Monroe said anxiously. Yes, yes, save me, I can help you get the Million Wonders demonic lotus. Ding Wugu said anxiously as if he had found a life-saving straw. Whoosh! At this moment, a golden arrow suddenly pierced through the black chi and instantly shot into Ding Wugu's chest. Beep! The arrow pierced through his heart and the tail of the arrow shook violently. Ding Wugu's eyes widened. Bang! The black smoke around him dissipated. Hiss! A large number of poisonous snakes wrapped around Ding Wugu. Ding Wugu followed the direction of the arrow and looked into the distance. You! Ding Wugu pointed unwillingly at the archer in the distance. In the distance, the one shooting the arrow was Yen Chuan. Yen Chuan drew his bow and stood there coldly. An arrow pierced through his heart. Originally, Yen Chuan wanted the soldiers to shoot Ding Wugu slowly. However, when he saw Mr. Monroe arrive, he knew that if he delayed any longer, Ding Wugu might not die. He had no choice but to act. Today, in order to establish his might, in order to receive loyalty, and even more in order to resolve a death grudge, Ding Wugu must die. He infused the heavenly dragon's power into the arrow and killed it with a single arrow. You! Yen Chuan! Mr. Monroe's expression changed. Anger flashed in his eyes. Yen Chuan returned the longbow to Huaguang and raised his head. Most feng shui arrays contain a heavenly lake. As you said, the myriad profundity lotus must be sealed there. It's just a heavenly lake. There's no need for Ding Wugu. I can take you there. You? In the distance, Yang Zhijiu said unhappily. Why? You don't believe me? Yen Chuan smiled. I believe you. Mo Yushi immediately shouted. When she looked at Yen Chuan again, Mo Yushi's eyes suddenly had a sense of trust. An inexplicable sense of trust. Mo Yushi also had a feeling that Yen Chuan would definitely help her. Mr. Monroe looked at Yen Chuan with a complicated expression. Then, he looked at Ding Wugu's corpse, which was being eaten by thousands of snakes. In the end, he could only nod and sigh. Then I'll have to trouble Prince Yen. Mr. Monroe smiled bitterly. Since I'm your guide, it's my duty. If I've offended you, please forgive me, Mr. Monroe. Yen Chuan nodded. You didn't offend me. As long as we get the myriad profundity lotus, nothing else matters. Mr. Monroe said. I'll do my best. Yen Chuan nodded. The 3,000 soldiers watched as Ding Wugu was eaten by the snakes. They all let out a long sigh and turned to look at Yen Chuan. Their eyes flashed with determination. Ding Wugu was killed. Under Mr. Monroe's lead, the army marched in a certain direction. Yen Chuan stood on Mr. Monroe's small boat, which floated forward in the air. Huaguang's army followed below. We've already found the myriad profundity lotus. Why are we still carrying 3,000 burdens? Our speed has been seriously slowed down. Yang Ziga questioned. Prince Yen, why don't you let Qing Long stay behind to protect your 3,000 soldiers while we go and get the myriad profundity lotus? Mo Yushi also advised. Shaking his head, Yen Chuan smiled and said, no need. I can protect them. You? Just you? Yang Zigu smiled disdainfully. Just me. Yan Chuan said in a tone that was neither humble nor arrogant. All right. Mo Yushi nodded and didn't insist. Mr. Monroe kept sizing up Yan Chuan. However, Mr. Monroe, who had always been insightful, felt that he couldn't see through Yan Chuan. Saint, what have you encountered these days? How did you get out of the cage? Mr. Monroe asked curiously. We've already gotten out. Let's not talk about the cage. Mo Yushi shook her head. Seeing that Mo Yushi didn't want to talk about it, Mr. Monroe knew better than to ask any more questions. Mr. Monroe, when you found the heavenly lake earlier, were there other people around? Yan Chuan asked. Yes. Maybe we really did enter too late. When I rushed past the heavenly lake, I saw at least 10 people from different sects. Mr. Monroe said. There's already so many people. Then we'd better hurry. Yang Zigu said anxiously. Mr. Monroe shook his head and said, Don't worry, Mr. Yang. The shield outside the heavenly lake is not that easy to break. I can't even shake it with my full strength. I'm curious. How powerful is Mr. Monroe's full strength attack? Yan Chuan asked. I'm at the immortal state. Mr. Monroe didn't hide anything. Cultivating chi into spirit? Immortal state? Yan Chuan thought for a while. This feng shui formation has a very strange history. It has existed for at least thousands of years. I don't know how the rules were set. No one above the virtual realm is allowed to enter. Only immortal state cultivators can enter. Those who dare to go beyond the rules will be punished by the world. Mo Yushi explained. Those who dare to go beyond the rules will be punished by the world. Only those below the immortal state are allowed to enter. Why is there such a strange rule? Yan Chuan was puzzled. I'm not sure. Anyway, all the powerful sects have this rule. Our Dazhao sacred ground is the same. Otherwise, Mohina Dojin would have come here himself. Mo Yushi shook her head. I heard from Miss Mo that Mr. Monroe is a celestial being. Do you know about this? Yan Chuan looked at Mr. Monroe. Mr. Monroe shook his head and smiled bitterly. I swore not to reveal anything. Please forgive me. If that's the case, then forget it. Yan Chuan nodded. Mr. Monroe, you know about this? Mo Yushi was surprised. Not only do I know about it, but Mohina Dojin also knows about it. Otherwise, he wouldn't want to get the Demon Lotus of Wonders. It's just that. Mr. Monroe sighed. Mo Yushi wanted to ask more questions. We're here. Mr. Monroe suddenly shouted. Everyone immediately turned their heads and looked forward. The 3,000 soldiers also stopped when the boat stopped. Chapter 106. We're here. Mr. Monroe suddenly shouted. Everyone immediately turned their heads and looked forward. As soon as the small boat stopped, the 3,000 soldiers also stopped abruptly. In front of him, there seemed to be a yellow gas wall. However, if he looked carefully, he would find that this gas wall was curved. It was a vast cylindrical yellow gas wall. Inside the chi wall, the top was yellow with a golden light, while the bottom was yellow with a black chi. The black gas was wreaking havoc in the yellow light. One could vaguely see a black-purple lotus with a pitch-black root 1,000 feet away. He seemed to be floating in the air. This is yellow light. It can't all be dragon vein energy, right? Qing Long said in astonishment. It's the dragon vein energy. Mo Yushi confirmed. Isn't this too exaggerated? I've never seen so much dragon vein energy in my entire life. How many are there? The white tiger said in astonishment. What a huge feng shui formation. What a heavy evil qi. Yan Chuan exclaimed. Evil qi. Qing Long looked at Yan Chuan. The entire feng shui formation is for this demonic lotus, right? But even with such a huge amount of power from the dragon veins, it can't be completely destroyed. Evil energy wreaks havoc. The myriad wonders demonic lotus is indeed extraordinary. Yen Chuan said solemnly. Does Prince Yen have a way to break it? Mr. Monroe asked. This small world is shrouded in thick fog. We can't see clearly from above. Let's go up and take a look. Yen Chuan said. Okay. Mr. Monroe nodded. The small boat carried everyone along the yellow wall and slowly floated up. It floated higher and higher. 2,000 feet. Qin Long said. Stop! Yen Chuan suddenly shouted. When the boat stopped, everyone raised their heads. The fog above them was getting thinner and thinner, and they could already see a little more clearly. This is a feng shui formation. How can you see the stars? Qin Long asked in surprise. We can't go any higher. If we go any higher, we'll be out of the feng shui formation. This leads to the outside world. Yen Chuan shouted. But I didn't see this entrance when I was in the outside world a few months ago. Mou, she said doubtfully. This exit can only be used to exit, not enter. Once you exit, you won't be able to find your way back. Yen Chuan shook his head. Mr. Monroe nodded. That's right. I released a Dharma artifact earlier. Once I left, I couldn't take it back. I originally thought that this was a hemispherical closed cover. I didn't expect it to be a cylindrical open cover. Yen Chuan frowned as he pondered. What's wrong, Yen Chuan? You said earlier that you could crack it. Why can't you do it now? You killed Ding Wugu. If you can't obtain the myriad wondered demonic lotus, you have to take full responsibility. Yang Zigu was still brooding over it. Yen Chuan ignored Yang Zigu and stared at the sky. Vaguely, Yen Chuan seemed to see a green pillar. It was very faint, so faint that he almost couldn't see it. The pillar was connected to the heavenly lake, and the other end was connected to the stars in the distance. What's that? Yen Chuan's eyes widened. Ha! Mr. Monroe's expression changed drastically as well. What's wrong? Yang Zigu was puzzled. That pillar? Is it the power of the stars? Mr. Monroe looked at Yen Chuan as if he was asking for confirmation. Absorbing the power of the stars? What a powerful feng shui formation. Who set it up? It absorbed the power of the 9 heavenly stars to destroy the myriad wondered demonic lotus? Yen Chuan's expression changed slightly. Absorbed the power of the 9 heavenly stars? Mou, she said in surprise. The person who set up the formation is called Master Damiao. Mr. Monroe thought for a moment and said. Master Damiao? Yen Chuan said in surprise. He's not a Master Damiao. He should be a Master Damiao. According to the ancient records, he was at the pinnacle of the virtual realm. He only needed to go through the tribulation to become a Master Damiao. However, in the end, he died for unknown reasons and left behind this formation. Mr. Monroe thought for a moment and said. Chapter 107. Did the book mention how to break it? Yang Zigu asked. No. It's just a passing note. Mr. Monroe shook his head. Prince Yen, do you have any ideas? Mr. Monroe asked. Yen Chuan stared at the sky and looked at the stars. The power of the stars comes from the army destroyer? Yen Chuan asked seriously. Mr. Monroe looked up at the sky and nodded. That's right. This array is indeed extracting the power of the stars from the army destroyer. Look at the stars around the army destroyer. Could it be that the army destroyer was among the 9 stars a few months ago? Yen Chuan looked at Mr. Monroe. You don't know? Mr. Monroe asked curiously. I was asleep that day. Which 9 stars were it? It's the Big Dipper. Tanlang, Juman, Wuxiu, Army Destroyer, Wenxiu, Lusen, Lianjin, Zhuofu, and Yubi. Mr. Monroe said. The Big Dipper? How can the 9 stars be connected in a line? Yan Chuan asked in surprise. That's why it's said to be a rare occurrence. No, there have been a lot of Big Dipper events since ancient times, but this is the first time the Big Dipper has been connected in a line. Mr. Monroe thought about it and said, "Let's go down first." Yan Chuan took a deep breath and said, "Okay." Mr. Monroe nodded. The boat slowly sank down. "Prince Yan, do you have a way to break this wall?" Mo Yushi asked anxiously. "It's not difficult to break the wall of the Sky Lake. The main thing is, are you sure you can get the Demon Lotus?" Yan Chuan smiled. Mo Yushi's expression changed. She immediately understood and a hint of gratitude flashed in her eyes. "Then we'll have to trouble Prince Yan." Mo Yushi took a deep breath and said, "I will do my best." Yan Chuan nodded. "Yan Chuan, how do we break through this heavenly pool wall?" Yang Zigu asked bluntly. "We still need to wait for about half a month." Yan Chuan shook his head. With that, Yan Chuan got off the boat and looked at the 3,000 silver armors. "Hua Guang, let's set up camp and rest," Yan Chuan ordered. "Understood," Hua Guang replied. Hua Guang left to command the army. However, Yan Chuan looked at Mo Yushi and said, "Miss Mo, can you let Qing Long, White Tiger, and the others go around the heavenly pool wall and patrol around to see how many experts there are?" "Did you hear what Prince Yan said?" Mo Yushi ordered. "Yes, we'll go now." Qing Long, Rosefinch, White Tiger, and Xuanwu immediately flew out. "Prince Yan wants to unite the experts and attack the heavenly pool wall together?" Mr. Monroe asked. "That's right. There's no other way." Yan Chuan nodded. "What kind of bullshit method is that? Do you even need to think about it? Isn't it just a group attack if one person can't break it?" Yang Zigu suddenly shouted. "Yang Zigu!" Mo Yushi shouted in disgust. When Yang Zigu saw that Mo Yushi was angry, he immediately stopped scolding Yan Chuan. "It's not that simple. I just checked. This array is connected to the stars. The walls are not only strengthened by the dragon energy, but also by the power of the stars. Even an emptiness realm expert might not be able to break it. We have to wait until the middle of the month, when the array is at its weakest. Then, we can attack the 8 fatal points of the heavenly pool wall at the same time to break it." Yan Chuan said seriously. "Why do we have to wait until the middle of the month? How do you know which 8 fatal points are?" Yang Zigu asked in disbelief. "The middle of the month, the night of the full moon, is the time when the yin qi is at its strongest. The power of the dragon veins will weaken temporarily. As for the 8 fatal points, have you forgotten how we came in?" Yan Chuan smiled. 8 fatal underworld? Mo Yushi's eyes lit up. Chapter 108. That's right. These are the 8 directions. Yan Chuan nodded. Prince Yan really knows a lot about feng shui. Mr. Monroe exclaimed. A close relative of mine once studied feng shui. I only heard a little about it. Yan Chuan sighed. The feng shui master's wife in his previous life, Jinro. Yan Chuan's face darkened when he thought of Jinro. So it's Yan Tao. I didn't expect this. Mr. Monroe exclaimed. He thought it was Yan Chuan's father. Yan Chuan shook his head and smiled without saying anything. Miss Mo, the lotus of 10,000 wonders is extremely evil. It shouldn't be touched. Yan Chuan frowned. Mohina Dojin lent me this 8 treasure divine box before I came. I'll just use it to store it. Mo Yushi took out a purple jade box. Will this work? Yan Chuan looked at the purple jade box worriedly. Humph, what do you know? This is my father's treasure, the 8 treasure divine box. It's a 9th grade magical artifact. Yang Zigu was unhappy. A 9th grade magical artifact? That's great. Yan Chuan nodded. There's still half a month left. Let's think about how to get the Lotus of 10,000 Wonders. Yan Chuan said again. Okay. Everyone nodded. On the other side, the military tent was quickly set up. Yan Chuan excused himself and left the group, heading towards the military tent. Hua Guang, come in. Lu Jin, guard outside. Don't let anyone in. Yan Chuan said. Yes. Lu Jin replied. Yan Chuan sat at the head of the tent. Hua Guang stood respectfully in front of Yan Chuan. Hua Guang, how long have you been following me? Yan Chuan asked in a deep voice. 7 years and 5 months. Hua Guang replied respectfully. It's been 7 years and 5 months. What are your ambitions? Yan Chuan asked. Ambition? Hua Guang was slightly puzzled, but after thinking about it, he still said respectfully, Hua Guang's previous ambition was to reorganize the Hua family and restore the title of War God Marquis to its former glory. To comfort the spirits of our ancestors in heaven. But now, my ambitions have changed. I hope to follow in the footsteps of the Lord and step into the world of cultivation. Even if I can't live forever, I won't regret it for the rest of my life. War God Marquis. You have the potential to be a fierce general, and you have the opportunity. Even in the cultivation world, you can use the name of War God Marquis to intimidate thousands of immortal sects. Yan Chuan said with certainty. Yes, sir. Hua Guang said longingly. Do you know how to enter the essence state? Yan Chuan asked. Hua Guang thought for a while and said, I've heard that people in the force state cultivate their inner strength. But no matter how much or how strong their inner strength is, it will slowly dissipate as they age. However, the essence state is different. Practitioners in the essence state open up their acupoints and gather their inner strength into their essence state. The essence state is stored in their acupoints and explodes with endless power. The essence state can nourish the body and soul, and increase one's lifespan. Yan Chuan continued to listen. There's a gap between the force state and the essence state. Those who have achieved the completion state of the force state need to find a way to trigger the heavenly tribulation and summon the heavenly tribulation. They can use the heavenly tribulation to open up their acupoints and enter the essence state. Hua Guang said seriously. That's right. Do you want to break through? Yan Chuan asked with a smile. Yes, but I'm only at LV9 of the force state. I haven't achieved the completion state of the force state, let alone the heavenly tribulation. Hua Guang looked at Yan Chuan with a bitter smile. Don't worry. With me, Mr. Monroe, and Miss Imo, it won't be difficult for you to achieve the completion state of the force state in half a month. As for the heavenly tribulation, it'll be even easier. Yan Chuan said with certainty. Thank you, Lord. Hua Guang felt his heart pounding. The essence state? A few months ago, Hua Guang didn't even dare to think about it. But now, it was right in front of him. He could take it freely. This isn't the key to calling you in. The key is the star force will. Yan Chuan took a deep breath and said. The star force will. Those who have achieved the spirit refinement will find their own natal star. Once they inherit the natal star force will, they can even mobilize the star force for their own use and strengthen themselves, Yan Chuan said. Natal star? Mobilize the star force? Hua Guang opened his mouth in shock. That's right. Take Mohina Dojin as an example. Although I've never met him, I know from his name that he must be extremely arrogant. He uses the sun as his natal star to mobilize the sun force. Yan Chuan said after thinking for a while. Natal star? The sun? Hua Guang was shocked. Normally, people will only find their own natal star after reaching the emptiness realm. They will form a connection with the natal star and inherit the star force will to strengthen themselves. If you can achieve the spirit refinement, you can also find your own natal star. There are countless stars in the sky. There will be a suitable one for you. Yan Chuan said. Hua Guang looked forward to it, but he also knew that Yan Chuan must have something else to say. However, there is a chance for you to inherit the Star Force will in the essence state. Are you willing? Yan Chuan asked. Now? Yes, the Alcade Star. I can let you inherit it quickly. If you inherit it now, you will be many years ahead of others. However, once you inherit the Star Force will, you will not have the chance to inherit the Star Force will in the future. Yan Chuan said after thinking for a while. Hua Guang looked at Yan Chuan, took a deep breath and said, without the Lord, I would not be where I am today. Everything will be decided by the Lord. Good, the Alcade Star Force will kill. You can only become stronger through killing. If you continue to be a general, you will become stronger as you fight. When you completely inherit the Star Force will, you will be the Marquis of the God of War. Yan Chuan said satisfactorily. Hua Guang will follow the Lord until death. Hua Guang knelt down on one knee and solemnly swore. Chapter 109. Yan Wudian the Central Tent. Yan Chuan summoned Mr. Monroe, Mo Yushi, and Yang Zigu. Hua Guang stood aside. What? Do you have a way to get the 10,000 Wonders Lotus? Yang Zigu asked bluntly. Yan Chuan looked at Mr. Monroe and said, look at Mr. Monroe's confident face. You must have thought of it too, right? Saintess Yushi and I thought of it together. We were just about to look for you. Mr. Monroe said politely. I'm not familiar with feng shui formations. It was mainly Mr. Monroe who came up with the idea. Mo Yushi said politely. What? Both of you have an idea? What is it? Yang Zigu was speechless. Merge with the feng shui formation and draw in the draconic chi to get the 10,000 Wonders Lotus. Mr. Monroe said. Merge? How? Yang Zigu was confused. This feng shui formation draws in the stars to strengthen the power of the formation. It also gives us a chance. As long as we get the will of the army destroyer, we will be recognized by the feng shui formation. Then, we can draw in the draconic chi to get the 10,000 Wonders Lotus. Mr. Monroe said confidently. That works? Yang Zigu was surprised. Mr. Monroe. Are you interested in the army destroyer? Yan Chuan smiled. I'm interested in the army destroyer. We're not interested in the army destroyer. Prince Yan, what about you? Mr. Monroe asked. Me? I don't need it. However, my first army commander, Hua Guang, can inherit the will of the army destroyer. There's still half a month left. What do you think? Yan Chuan asked. Hua Guang clenched his fists in excitement. Him. Humph. Yang Zigu said unhappily. That would be great. Mr. Monroe nodded. Hua Guang is now at LV9 of the Power Realm. In the next half a month, Miss Mo, as the Virgin of the Dazhao Holy Land, you must have a lot of resources. Can you push Hua Guang to LV10 of the Power Realm in half a month? Yan Chuan looked at Mo Yushi. Don't worry, it's just one level of the Power Realm. Leave it to me. Mo Yushi agreed readily. Mr. Monroe, you're an erudite celestial being. You must know a lot about triggering the first level thunder tribulation. Also, I'll have to trouble you with the will of the Alcade. Yan Chuan looked at Mr. Monroe and said. It's my honor. Mr. Monroe said with a smile. In that case, let's wait for half a month. Yan Chuan said confidently. Yes. Everyone nodded. After everyone left, Yang Zigu was left alone in the tent. Mr. Yang, what can I do for you? Yang Zigu also looked at Yan Chuan, holding back the disgust in his heart. Prince Yan. Yang Zigu said with an ugly smile. Mr. Yang, please speak your mind, Yan Chuan said with a smile. Hua Guang is your man. He listens to you. I want to ask you for a favor. Yang Zigu said with a fake smile. Oh? Please speak, Mr. Yang. I would like to ask you to help me obtain the 10,000 Wonder Demonic Lotus. After obtaining it, I will definitely reward you greatly. I can even recommend you to my father and have him take you in as his disciple. How about it? Yang Zhijiao said with a fake smile. Ha ha ha, Mr. Yang, you must be joking. Am I not helping you now? Yan Chuan said with a smile. No, I mean, help me get it. Just help me get it. Yang Zigu said anxiously. Yan Chuan looked at Yang Zigu with a teasing expression. I don't know what the result will be. Mr. Yang, if you follow me closely, you still have a chance to get the magic lotus. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Okay. Yang Zigu thought that Yan Chuan had agreed and was overjoyed. Chapter 110. Prince Yan. Mo Yushi's voice came from outside the tent. Yang Zigu's expression changed, and he said, if that's the case, I'll take my leave. Yan Chuan nodded. Yang Zigu hurried out, and Mo Yushi brought Qing Long and the rest in. Seeing that Yang Zigu had left, Mo Yushi frowned. She looked at Yan Chuan, and Mo Yushi chose not to ask. You're back. Yan Chuan looked at Qing Long and the rest. Yes, I found out. However, I'm not sure if there are any experts hiding in the dark. Qing Long said with a smile. Let Mr. Monroe handle this matter. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Of course, I wouldn't dare to trouble Prince Yan with this matter. However, when I came back, I saw people who claimed to be from the Great Yan State. Qing Long said with certainty. Oh? People from the Yan State? Yan Chuan was slightly surprised. It should be. From the looks of it, they seem to be of high status in the Yan State. There were 3 people who had attained the full state of strength, and they were in a standoff with the great official of the Great Jing State. Qing Long nodded. The great official of the Great Jing State? Lu Gang. He's not dead yet? Yan Chuan's expression changed slightly. Outside the Heavenly Lake's protective shield, there was a wide valley. Around the valley, there were close to 100 people. Judging by the way they stood, it was obvious that they were not on the same side. They looked more like spectators. Hundreds of people gathered around and stared at the center of the battlefield. On one side, there were 2 people. One of them was the great official of the Great Jing State, Lu Gang. The demon snake had been eaten by Yan Chuan, and now it was here. Lu Gang bowed respectfully to a middle-aged man in a luxurious robe. The man had a broad face and a domineering look in his eyes. Opposite the 2 of them was an extremely noble-looking young man. The young man carried a purple longsword on his back, and behind him stood 3 old men, all of them glaring angrily at the other side. Lu Gang said respectfully to the middle-aged man beside him, King Mai, he is the crown prince of the Yan State. The middle-aged man looked at Lu Gang and revealed a faint smile. Lu Gang, what are you worried about? Since I've agreed to take you as my disciple, I'll naturally recognize you as my disciple. Zheng's imperial family is my descendant. Since you're wholeheartedly devoted to Zheng, I'll naturally help you. Yes, thank you, master. Lu Gang said excitedly. I made an agreement with Yen Tao back then. Neither of us would interfere in the affairs between the 2 kingdoms. Now that Yen Tao is dead, I can't go back on my word. I won't interfere. As for you, it's up to you what you want to do. King Yi Mu said calmly. Yes. Disciple understands what to do. Lu Gang understood tacitly. King Yi Mu nodded. Lu Gang looked at the 4 people opposite him again, especially the young man in the lead. The young man was about 17 or 18 years old, about the same age as Yan Chuan. His appearance was more delicate, and there was a strong sense of heroism between his brows. Yan Wudi, do you still stand by your words? Lu Gang asked with a smile. Yan Wudi nodded. Of course I can represent my father and the Yan State. But what about you? You're just Zheng's consecrated. My master is King Yi Mu of Zheng. With my master as the witness, I can naturally represent Zheng. Lu Gang said. Yen Wudi looked at King Yi Mu. That's right. King Yi Mu nodded with a smile. Seeing King Yi Mu nod, Yen Wudi took a deep breath and said, "All right, if that's the case, then let's compete. I'll bet the 6 southern cities of Yen State against the 6 northern cities of Zheng. We'll decide the victor in one battle." Good. Lu Gang said with satisfaction. Chapter 111. King Yi Mu stood at the side and watched calmly. Your Highness. The 3 people behind Yen Wudi asked worriedly. Yen Wudi shook his head and said, "Don't worry, my master is just checking the surroundings. He'll be back soon. Lu Gang and I are having a fair fight. King Yi Mu won't do anything to me." "All right, Your Highness, be careful." The 3 stepped back. Nearly 100 onlookers looked on curiously. Only Yen Wudi and Lu Gang were left in the center. Yen Wudi, LV9 of the Strength Realm. Nice to meet you. Yen Wudi drew the purple sword from his back. LV9 of the Strength Realm. Let's cut the crap. Come on. Lu Gang rubbed his bald head and drew his sword as well. The onlookers looked at Yen Wudi with disdain. LV9 of the Strength Realm. This mortal really doesn't know his place. He dares to challenge Lu Gang despite knowing that he's only at LV10 of the Strength Realm. With King Yi Mu's support, this Yen Wudi is bound to lose. Yen State? It seems like Yen Tao was in charge in the past, what a pity. Yen Wudi didn't care about the lamentations of the onlookers. Yen Wudi's hair fluttered in the wind. Yen Wudi's narrowed eyes opened, and the long sword in his hand immediately pierced towards Lu Gang. Buzz! The purple sword sliced through the air and reached Lu Gang in the blink of an eye. That's all you got? Lu Gang said disdainfully. A wisp of black smoke seeped out of the iron sword and was about to hit the purple sword. But at that moment, the purple sword tilted slightly and dodged the iron sword. Then, it stabbed Lu Gang's sword hilt. Ding! Lu Gang's hand went numb and his iron sword almost slipped out of his hand. Ha! Lu Gang's expression changed. Ding! 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 Yen Wudi's sword moved faster and faster. Although his strength was not as good as Lu Gang's, his speed was not slow at all. Moreover, he used his exquisite swordsmanship to force Lu Gang to retreat again and again. The great river surges, the Tao of Hell is endless. Yen Wudi shouted. The sword technique in his hand was like a torrential river, crashing against Lu Gang wave after wave. How is this possible? Lu Gang actually retreated in defeat. In the blink of an eye, Lu Gang was actually suppressed by Yen Wudi and was unable to counterattack. Everyone's eyes lit up. Is this the sword art created by Yen Tao, the torrential sword art? That's right. I've seen him before. He was Yen Tao of the Day sect. His sword techniques were torrential, and he won every battle. This young man has actually learned 70% of the charm. Good sword art. The sounds of praises were endless. The 3 consecrated heaved a sigh of relief. On the other hand, King Wild raised an eyebrow and looked at Yen Wudi's sword art with a slightly serious expression. His sword art has reached such a level at such a young age? King Wild furrowed his brows. Torrential river, the sky collapses and falls. Yen Wudi shouted loudly, and a dazzling purple light suddenly erupted from the longsword in his hand. It was as if the longsword had transformed into a great river that rushed toward Lu Gang. At the same time, Yen Wudi seemed to have become one with the great river in an instant. It was as if he had disappeared into the sword art. Boom! Lu Gang was sent flying, and the iron sword in his hand instantly shattered, scattering all over the ground. You! Lu Gang looked at Yen Wudi in shock. It was as if he couldn't believe that he had lost to a young man. Did I see wrongly just now? Yen Wuti disappeared into the sword river. Man and sword as one. Impossible. How old is he? How could he have comprehended man and sword as one? Discussions broke out in the surroundings, and many people revealed looks of disbelief. Innate sword bone. King Wild suddenly said. Everyone looked at King Wild. I didn't think that there would be an innate sword bone among Yen Tao's descendants. Man and sword as one. Innate sword bone. Kid, are you willing to accept me as your master? King Wild suddenly shouted. No need. I already have a master. Yen Wuti said arrogantly. You already have a master? The purple sword in your hand is no ordinary sword. Is it a gift from your so-called master? King Wild said indifferently. That's right. The sword's name is Indigo. When I accepted him as my master, I swore that with this indigo sword, I would defeat all swords in the world. Yen Wuti said with certainty. Arrogant. A mere mortal dares to say that he would worship all swords in the world? Lu Gang. King Wild said in a deep voice. Your disciple is here. Lu Gang crawled up from the ground with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. Today, I will bestow upon you the flying sword, Flowing Light. It will allow you to behead someone from 1,000 miles away. King Wild said in a deep voice. As he spoke, King Wild reached out with his hand, and a green longsword appeared in his palm. A flying sword? Lu Gang's eyes lit up. Master will help you refine the flying sword. Let's fight again. King Wild shouted. Yes. Lu Gang said excitedly. Chapter 112. Yen Wuti, come again, ha ha ha. Lu Gang shouted excitedly. 2 meters away from Lu Gang, a green longsword floated in the air. As Lu Gang spoke, the flying sword quickly flew around Lu Gang. Following Lu Gang's thoughts, the flying sword danced in the air. King Yi Mu stood to the side and watched quietly. The 100 or so onlookers were also silent. The 3 Yen state guardians looked worried. Yen Wuti held the azulate sword in his hand and watched with a serious expression. Come. Yen Wuti didn't back down at all. Xiao. The flying sword instantly shot towards Yen Wuti. Ding. The 2 swords collided with each other. Although Lu Guang was a flying sword, its strength was about the same as Zi Qing's. The 2 swords collided and retreated. Lu Gang's hand gestures were flying as he quickly controlled the flowing light to make a turn and slash towards Yen Wuti. Ding! Yen Wuti was also a genius in the sword Dao. He used the backsword style to block the slash of the flowing light. However, the flying swords were too strange. Without the obstruction of the sword wielder, they could attack from countless different angles, and each of them was fatal. Clink! 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 Lu Gang commanded the flying swords to attack at an extremely fast speed, rushing towards Yen Wuti like a storm, while he himself was more than 500 feet away, basically in an invincible position. Ha ha ha, Yen Wuti, your sword is too short. You can't hurt me. You will lose sooner or later. You should admit defeat. Lu Gang excitedly commanded his sword. Flying sword versus long sword, Yen Wuti will definitely lose. Yen Wuti can only defend. He can't attack Lu Gang. How can he win? Admit defeat. It's only 6 cities. Sounds of discussion could be heard all around. Yen Wuti cut a sorry figure as he swung the flying swords around. There were a few times where he almost lost his life to the flying swords. However, King Wild narrowed his eyes. Innate sword bones? As expected of an innate sword bone. Just a moment ago, he was still in a panic, but in such a short period of time, he was actually adapting to the flying sword. This child is extraordinary. He will become a great threat if we let him live. King Yi Mu's eyes narrowed. The finger hidden in King Mai's sleeve curled slightly. Buzz! The flying sword suddenly exploded with a dazzling green light. Boom! Ah! The flying sword erupted with a power several times stronger than before. With another violent collision, Yen Wuti was sent flying. Bang! Yen Wuti fell to the ground. Buzz! The flying sword suddenly shot in front of Yen Wuti, pointing straight at his throat. You lost! Lu Gang shouted excitedly. Yen Wuti looked at the flying sword in front of his throat, his face full of unwillingness. There are 6 cities in the southern border. Once we're out of the feng shui formation, the state of Zheng can send people to retrieve them. Although Yen Wuti was unwilling, he kept his promise. Lu Gang waved his hand, and the flying sword immediately returned to him. Yen Wuti, the Yen state will soon be destroyed without Yen Tao. How about becoming my disciple? I can guarantee your Yen state's safety for 100 years. King Mai said. After all, an innate sword bone was too rare. Yen Wuti shook his head and said, I already said that I've already become your disciple. So what if you've become his disciple? At most, he can protect you. He can't protect the Yen state. Once Yen Tao is dead, who will protect the Yen state? As for you, once you're strong enough, the Yen state will be long gone. King Mai tried to persuade him again. Yen Wuti clenched his fists. Although he knew that King Mai was right, he was still stubborn. He refused to change his master. So? King Mai pressed forward. Who said that no one will protect the Yen state? The Dai sect has always been protecting it. A voice came from the crowd. Chapter 113. King Ye's eyes widened as he looked into the distance. A middle-aged Taoist with a long sword on his back and a gourd hanging from his waist walked over with a smile. It was none other than Zhu Jiansheng, who had taken away the Dai sect disciples after Yen Chuan taught them a lesson. Zhu Jiansheng? It's you? King Yi said coldly. Ha ha ha, Senior Mai, Martial Uncle Yen Tao is protecting the Yen state because of the Dai sect. Have you forgotten? He's a junior from the Yen state. Senior Mai, you won't make things difficult for him, right? Zhu Jiansheng said with a smile. What? Zhu Jiansheng, are you interested in this kid as well? King Yi asked in a low voice. An innate sword bone is indeed suitable for the path of the sword. Of course I'm interested. However, I won't force him. It's all up to him. Zhu Jiansheng said with a smile. Senior Zhu Jiansheng. Thank you for your kindness. I've already become your disciple. I won't change my mind. Yen Wuti said. It's fine. Martial Uncle Yen Tao is a genius. It's normal for him to have a few geniuses among his juniors. I can only say that we're not fated to be together. However, I've promised Martial Uncle Yen Tao that I'll protect the Yen state. Zhu Jiansheng said. Yen Tao is dead, and there's no one from the Yen state in the Dai sect. Does the Dai sect want to make an enemy out of me because of an insignificant person? King Yi said in a low voice. I wouldn't dare. However, Senior Mai is wrong. Who said that there's no one from the Yen state in the Dai sect? Zhu Jiansheng said with a smile. King Yi narrowed his eyes. Are you talking about Yen Chuan? Yen Tao's son? Lu Gang exclaimed. Oh? Ha ha ha, Yen Tao's son. You're only in your teens, right? What? You're still alive? King Yimu chuckled. Of course I'm still alive. Suddenly, a voice sounded. King Mai is of the same generation as my father, and I've admired him for a long time. But today, he used his cultivation to bully a junior of the Yen clan. This doesn't match the rumors. Ah, this has disappointed Yen Chuan. A voice suddenly came from the crowd. King Ye's expression darkened. Lu Gang, Zhu Jiansheng, and Yen Wuti all looked in the direction of the voice. The crowd dispersed as 5 people slowly walked out. They were Yan Chuan, Lu Jin, Mou Shi, Qing Long, and White Tiger. King Wild narrowed his eyes when he saw the 5 of them. Apart from Yan Chuan and Lu Jin, he couldn't see through their cultivation bases. Yan Chuan. It's you. Lu Gang said with hatred in his eyes. Isn't this honorary Lu? I have to thank Consecrator Lu for the last time. The snake meat was indeed delicious. Yan Chuan smiled as he walked out. You. Lu Gang's expression darkened. Junior brother Yan Chuan. We meet again. Zhu Jiansheng said with a smile. Yan Chuan looked at Zhu Jiansheng and nodded. Thank you for making enemies with King Mai for our great Yan. Ha, I'll keep my promise to your father. Zhu Jiansheng said with a smile. Yan Chuan nodded and looked at Yan Wudi and the 3 honorary elders. My king, lord. The 3 honorary elders thought for a moment and stepped forward. Yan Chuan smiled. Crown Prince, this is the king equal to 1. Lu Jin reminded. Yan Chuan waited quietly. Looking at Yan Chuan, who was about the same age as him, Yan Wudi had a complicated expression on his face. Crown Prince, you can't forget the etiquette. One of the honorary elders advised in a low voice. Yan Wudi raised his eyebrows and nodded. He took a deep breath and bowed to Yan Chuan. Greetings, Uncle Wang. Yan Wudi said with difficulty. If it weren't for etiquette, Yan Wudi wouldn't have said it. In Yan Wudi's heart, he didn't respect Yan Chuan at all. Chapter 114. Yan Chuan's status was the same as Yan Emperor's, which meant that he was in the same generation as Yan Emperor. That was why Yan Wudi addressed him as Uncle Wang. Not bad. You're born with a sword bone. With some training, you'll definitely become someone great. Yan Chuan nodded in satisfaction. Yan Wudi's expression turned strange as he listened to Yan Chuan's words. He didn't respond. After the reunion, Yan Chuan's gaze turned to the outside world again. King Yi. Yan Chuan smiled. Yan Tao and I are in the same generation. You should call me Martial Uncle. King Yi smiled. Ha ha ha, I haven't even joined the Day sect yet. How can I call you Martial Uncle? But King Yi knows that you're in the same generation as my father. Why would you sneak attack a junior? Yan Chuan smiled. King Yi narrowed his eyes. One had to know that his attack was extremely subtle. How could a mortal like Yan Chuan know? Could it be? Yan Wudi looked at King Wild in surprise. Was it really King Wild's doing that caused his flying sword's power to skyrocket? Yan Chuan, you brat, do you think you can slander my master? Lu Gang immediately scolded. Heh. So it's honorary Lu. What's wrong? Do you feel proud teaming up with King Yi to bully a junior? Yan Chuan said disdainfully. You're the one. Lu Gang was furious. Impudent. King Yi suddenly yelled. With a shout, King Wild's aura suddenly skyrocketed as he charged towards Yan Chuan. His powerful aura swept up a huge cloud of dust as it rushed toward Yan Chuan. Boom! A gust of wind blew, and King Ye's aura was pushed back. A person suddenly appeared in front of Yan Chuan. It was Qing Long. Qing Long glared at King Wild, his aura surging towards King Wild. King Yi Mu's expression froze. Their auras clashed against each other, and layers of shockwaves rolled out in all directions. At this moment, the eyes of the onlookers were filled with excitement. Who is this person? He's actually on par with King Yi. He's helping Yan Chuan. Am I not a friend of Yan Tao? That's right. Yan Tao was a peerless talent back then. It's normal for him to have a few powerful friends. There were endless discussions all around. Qing Long and King Wild also slowly withdrew their attacks. No one could do anything to the other. Who are you? King Wild stared at Qing Long. You don't need to know. Qing Long shook his head and stood behind Yan Chuan. King Wild's eyes flickered. In the end, he looked at Yan Chuan again. At this moment, he looked at Yan Chuan with a much more serious gaze. Yan Wudi also looked at this Uncle Wang with a complicated expression. His eyes flashed with confusion. Lu Gang, did you just cheat my nephew of 6 cities? Yan Chuan yelled at Lu Gang. Lu Gang almost vomited blood. Was that cheating? I'm betting with him. How is that cheating? Lu Gang said gloomily. Betting? Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. That's right. He used 6 cities in the south of the Yan dynasty, and I used 6 cities in the north of the Jing dynasty. It's a fair bet. How is that cheating? Lu Gang explained. You can decide the cities in Jing. Yan Chuan asked. My master is the Jing dynasty's King Wild. His status is higher than the Jing emperor. Of course I can. Lu Gang said proudly. If that's the case, how about I bet with you? Yan Chuan smiled. You? Lu Gang frowned. What? You don't dare? You dare to cheat my nephew, but you don't dare to bet with me? Yan Chuan said disdainfully. Humph, let's bet. Lu Gang suddenly stopped and looked at King Wild. If he wants to bet, then you'll have to accompany him. You're only at LV8 strength realm. King Wild said disdainfully. Yes. Lu Gang said immediately. If you want to die, then don't blame me. I'll bet 6 cities with you. Lu Gang said confidently. 6 cities? I can't afford that. Yan Chuan smiled. Ha ha ha, it's good that you know your place. If you can't afford 6 cities, how many cities do you want to bet? 4 cities, 3 cities. 1 city is fine too. Lu Gang said excitedly. You don't understand what I mean. I said that 6 cities are too little. Yan Chuan laughed. Too little? How much do you want to bet? Lu Gang frowned. My Yan state has 3 provinces in the south and 42 cities. Do you dare to bet? Yan Chuan asked with a solemn expression. Chapter 115. The Yan state has 3 provinces and 42 cities in Nanjiang. Do you dare to bet? Yan Chuan's face turned solemn. 3 provinces? 42 cities? Lu Gang took a deep breath. That was equivalent to 1/5 of the Yan state's territory. The whole of Nanjiang was at stake? Not only Lu Gang, but even Crown Prince Yan Wudi's expression changed. Yan Wudi had taken a huge risk in the first 6 cities. How could Yan Chuan do it? What? You don't dare? Yan Chuan laughed. What a joke. It's not that I don't dare, but can you afford it? Lu Gang scolded. In the Yan state, my words are the Yan emperor's words. Do you think I can afford it? Yan Chuan said in a low voice. You. Lu Gang was speechless. It's only 42 cities. Ask your master if he dares. Yan Chuan teased. Master. Lu Gang looked at King Yi. 42 cities. Lu Gang didn't dare to make the decision. King Yi stared at Yan Chuan and fell silent for a while. Then, he suddenly laughed, ha 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 ha, good. As expected of Yan Tao's son. 42 cities? It's only 42 cities. The Jing dynasty has 42 cities in Nanjiang. Lu Gang, bet with him. Yes. Lu Gang answered. In King Ye's eyes, Lu Gang was at 10th stage strength realm, while Yan Chuan was at 8th stage strength realm. Moreover, Yan Chuan was definitely not as experienced as Lu Gang. How could Lu Gang lose this battle? Yan Chuan, since you want to lose, then come at me. Ha ha ha. Lu Gang calmed himself down and laughed. Yan Wudi looked anxious, but for some reason, he swallowed the words that were on the tip of his tongue. He looked at Yan Chuan with a complicated expression. Yan Chuan chuckled. Sure, but I still want to know if you're going to fight me alone, or if you and King Mai are going to team up against me. Impudent. King Wild Mu glared at Qin Lai, his face flushed with anger. Humph, my master won't interfere, just me. Lu Gang also shouted. Yan Chuan chuckled. All right, but my sword strikes are extremely fast, and I can't stop myself. King Mai, watch out for me. If your precious disciple is in danger, you still have to save him. How arrogant. King Yi Mu said coldly. Yan Chuan, do you only know how to talk? Draw your swords. Lu Gang shouted. I don't have a sword. Yan Chuan said indifferently. King Mai. Lu Gang. Nephew, lend me your azure sword. If I defeat Lu Gang, I'll return it to you. Yan Chuan looked at Yan Wudi. Yan Wudi looked at Yan Chuan strangely with a complicated expression. Uncle Wang, please. Yan Wudi reluctantly handed over the azure sword. Yan Chuan grabbed the azure sword and flicked his finger. Ding! Purple steel essence. What a good sword. What's more, it's most suitable for someone with an innate sword bone. It seems like your new master is also someone who understands swords. Yan Chuan praised. Yan Wudi was surprised. Yan Chuan grabbed the azulate sword and lightly waved it twice. He then looked at Lu Gang and said, Come, I'm very fast. Humph. Lu Gang snorted. With a cold snort, Lu Gang waved his finger. Buzz! The flying sword, flowing light, suddenly trembled. Whoosh! The azure light instantly shot towards Yan Chuan. It was extremely fast, as if it wanted to pierce through Yan Chuan. Everyone stared at the flying sword. Yan Chuan's eyes narrowed, and he suddenly thrust the azure sword forward. Ding! The two swords suddenly clashed. Sparks flew. The flying sword was sent flying back. Chapter 116. But at this moment, several pairs of eyes suddenly froze. King Mai, Qin Long, Zhu Jiansheng, and even Yan Wudi, who was born with the sword bone. Everyone looked at Yan Chuan. That strike was too accurate, so accurate that it was unimaginable. When Yan Wudi fought, their swords only clashed at the edge, but Yan Chuan's strike was at the tip. Yan Chuan's sword had pierced through that tiny point. Coincidence? It must be a coincidence. Zhu Jiansheng muttered to himself. Yan Wudi's expression became more and more complicated, while King Mai's expression became more and more serious. After a moment of collision, the flying sword shot back towards Yan Chuan. At this moment, Yan Chuan strangely turned around. His turn was fierce and fast. He swung the azure sword in his hand in a circle, and when it reached its maximum speed, it just happened to turn back. Yan Chuan suddenly let go of the azure sword, which was pointed at Lu Gang, and even gave the azure sword a boost. Go! Yan Chuan shouted. The azure sword flew out of his hand, and like a flying sword, it shot towards Lu Gang at an extremely fast speed. Whoosh! The azure sword and the flying sword almost brushed past each other. The azure sword shot towards Lu Gang, while the flying sword shot towards Yan Chuan. Seeing this scene, almost everyone was petrified. What's going on? Why did Yan Chuan throw the sword away? He's crazy. The azure sword isn't a flying sword. Does he think it's a dart? Not only were the onlookers shocked, but even Yan Wudi and King Mai were stunned by this scene. In a flash, the flying sword arrived in front of Yan Chuan, and he was about to be stabbed by the flying sword. Yan Chuan shifted his feet and leaned his body to the side, narrowly dodging the flying sword. The flying sword brushed past the tip of Yan Chuan's nose. Just when everyone thought that the flying sword had failed, they looked towards the azulate sword on the other side. Yan Chuan moved again. No one knew when, but his right arm had already stretched out. He stretched out his hand and grabbed. In the blink of an eye, he had actually grabbed the hilt of the flying sword. Grabbed the hilt of the flying sword? He had lost the azulate sword and caught the flying sword. Yen Wuti looked at this strange fighting style in astonishment. But it wasn't over yet. Yen Chuan once again made a big turn, grabbed the flying sword and swung it in a big circle. With a huge momentum, when Yen Chuan's figure stood upright, he suddenly swung the flying sword out, and the flying sword was shot out in the direction of Lu Gang. The azulate sword and flying sword shot towards Lu Gang at the same time. With two magnificent turns, two swords shot towards Lu Gang. The shocking change made the surrounding spectators hold their breaths. Their eyes shone with a dazzling light. Swish! Swish! The azulate sword was the first to reach Lu Gang. With the terrifying sword tip in front of him, how could Lu Gang still have the mind to control the flying sword? At this moment, the flying sword seemed to be blocked by a huge force, and he couldn't control it. Ah! Horrified, Lu Gang retreated backward. But no matter how fast he was, how could he be faster than two swords? Whoosh! Whoosh! The two swords were overflowing with killing intent. In the blink of an eye, they were about to pierce through Lu Gang. Master! Lu Gang cried out in horror. Pang! Pang! King Wild suddenly stood in front of Lu Gang, holding a sword in each hand. His fingertips held the two swords in place, and they trembled violently. Hiss! King Wild looked at the two swords in his hands in shock. Lu Gang had escaped with his life. His forehead was covered in sweat. As he gasped for breath, his heart was still flustered. The surrounding spectators couldn't help but feel the soul-stirring scene. Their hearts were surging. Good! Mo She was the first to cry out. Mo She looked at Yen Chuan again, and her eyes flashed with excitement. It was as if she was the one who had unleashed the graceful dual swords just now. Good, good, good sword. Zhu Jiansheng also sobered up. Amazing. I didn't think that sword techniques could be used like this. This is the first time I've seen someone use a sword like this. It's amazing. Sword toss, sword snatch, sword toss. Amazing. I didn't expect this. Yen Chuan. Yen Tao's son. Like father, like son. Just as expected. Cheers came from all around. Yen Chuan's move was indeed amazing. Yen Wuti looked at Uncle Wang with a complicated expression. Although he was known as a sword genius, there was no way he could defeat Lu Gang in a single round. Could it be that Uncle Wang's sword technique was even better? No, I will surpass you. I will become the strongest sword cultivator in the world. Yen Wuti clenched his fists and swore in his heart. Cheers came from all around. On the other hand, King Yi Mu and Lu Gang's expressions were extremely ugly. King Yi Mu had made his move, announcing Lu Gang's complete defeat. The 42 cities of the Great Zheng had also changed hands in this short moment. And Master, I didn't think that Yen Chuan would throw away his sword. I also didn't think that he would snatch my flying sword. I. Lu Gang hurriedly explained. But what was the point of explaining? A loss was a loss. He didn't think that Yen Chuan would toss the azure sword. He was completely unprepared. He was doomed to lose. King Yi Mu gripped his two swords and looked at Yen Chuan with a gloomy expression. Yen Chuan's amazing move was like a slap to his face. He couldn't defend himself at all. Yen Chuan. King Yi Mu said coldly. Thank you for your 42 cities, King Yi Mu. Yen Chuan thanks you. Yen Chuan said with a smile. At this moment, Yen Chuan's laughter was ear-piercing. Ha ha ha, Yen Tao's son. King Yi Mu's voice was extremely cold. As he spoke, King Yi Mu's hand suddenly shone with a black light, as if he wanted to destroy the azure sword to vent his anger. Stop! Yen Wuti shouted in Jiaohu's direction. Who dares to destroy my sword? An angry roar suddenly came from all directions. Hum! 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 Following this angry roar, a powerful sword intent spread out. Among the 100 or so onlookers, as long as they had a sword, their swords suddenly trembled. It was as if they were welcoming the arrival of the King of Swords. The Azure Sword and Azure Sword, flowing light, were trembling even though they were in King Yimu's hand. Zhujiansheng was the first to react. He quickly pressed down on his sword, preventing it from humming. Whoosh! The Azure Sword left King Yimu's hand and shot towards the center of the field. Another person suddenly appeared in the center of the field. It was a black-robed man with white hair at his temples. He stood alone in the center of the field, and a powerful sword intent shot out from where he stood. Paw! The man grabbed the Azure Sword. Master! Yan Wudi exclaimed in surprise. Dugu Sword Emperor? Qing Long raised his eyebrows. The black-robed man in the center of the field held the Azure Sword and stared at King Yimu with cold eyes. It was as if two extremely sharp swords could shoot out from his eyes. His powerful aura was like a sharp sword, pointing straight at people's hearts. Many of the spectating experts retreated under the pressure of this aura. It's you, Dugu Sword Emperor. King Yimu's face turned ugly. Why is my disciple's sword in your hands? Dugu Sword Emperor said coldly. Chapter 117. It's you, Dugu Sword Emperor? King Yimu asked with an ugly expression. Why is my disciple's sword in your hands? The Dugu Sword Emperor asked coldly. Yes. A fierce aura surged towards King Yimu. Under the pressure of the Dugu Sword Emperor, King Yimu's expression changed. Clearly, the Dugu Sword Emperor's aura was stronger. Master! Yan Wudi quickly stepped forward. Master, I lent the sword to Uncle Wang. Yan Wudi immediately explained. What's going on? The Dugu Sword Emperor raised his eyebrows. The pressure on King Yimu also lessened slightly. King Yimu felt better after the pressure lessened, but he had already lost all his face. Humph! King Yimu snorted coldly, venting his frustration. Yan Wudi explained everything to the Dugu Sword Emperor. Oh? Fling the sword? The Dugu Sword Emperor suddenly looked towards Yan Chuan. Yes. Yan Wudi nodded affirmatively. When he looked at Yan Chuan, his expression became even more complicated. From now on, remember this. The sword is your life. Never let it leave your body, and never lend it to anyone. The Dugu Sword Emperor said solemnly. Yes. Yan Wudi solemnly received the Azure Sword. The Dugu Sword Emperor returned the Azure Sword and looked towards Yan Chuan. His gaze was as sharp as a sword as he stared at Yan Chuan, who was not far away. His gaze was extremely sharp, but Yan Chuan did not move at all. He even smiled at the Dugu Sword Emperor. Fling the sword? Humph! The Dugu Sword Emperor snorted coldly. Hum! Hum! The swords of the surrounding experts hummed again. No one knew what the Dugu Sword Emperor was planning. Suddenly, a person's sword soared into the sky. Whoosh! A long sword soared into the sky. Swish! 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 The 50 swords around him suddenly soared into the sky. Ah, my sword! Why is my sword flying? Is it the Dugu Sword Emperor? The people who had their swords flying all around all revealed a look of panic. If his sword was controlled by someone else, wouldn't it be easy for the Dugu Sword Emperor to take his head? Swish! Swish! The heads of the 50 swords suddenly pointed at Yan Chuan. They turned into 50 streams of light and instantly pierced towards him. Boom! Just like the ones that were aimed at Lu Gang, they were all aimed at Yan Chuan. Moreover, there were 50 of them. The 50 streams of light were like 50 death talismans, pressing forward with an indomitable will, producing an ear-piercing sound as they tore through the air. It was as if they wanted to shoot Yan Chuan into a hedgehog. The sword tore through the void and arrived before him in an instant. It's over. The onlookers felt pity for Yan Chuan. Bastard! How dare you! Qing Long and Mo Yushi suddenly roared. Qing Long, White Tiger, and Mo Yushi acted at almost the same time. A wall of air suddenly appeared in front of Yan Chuan. Wang! 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 The 50 swords pierced through the air wall and continued to penetrate deeper. The 3 immortal state experts defended together, but the swords eventually all stopped. The closest sword stopped 5 inches away from Yan Chuan's forehead. Mo Yushi, Qing Long, and White Tiger were enraged. The Dugu Sword Emperor's gaze was cold and solemn. Yan Chuan, who was pointed at by the sword, was still expressionless. Even when the sword was only 5 inches away from his forehead, his eyelids didn't even twitch. Yan Chuan even looked at the Dugu Sword Emperor with interest and revealed a faint smile. Boom! Under Mo Yushi's anger, the 50 swords suddenly shot back. Dugu Sword Emperor, do you want to die? Mo Yushi's eyes widened. At this moment, Mo Yushi didn't know why she was so angry. It was as if she had lost her mind. Chapter 118. Miss Mo. Yan Chuan suddenly called out. Mo Yushi frowned and turned her head. Thank you. I'm fine now. Yan Chuan smiled. Yan Chuan's smile seemed to have a magical power that instantly melted the anger in Mo Yushi's heart. Mo Yushi calmed down and secretly sighed with a smile. Qing Long and White Tiger were still staring angrily at the Dugu Sword Emperor, but the Dugu Sword Emperor was looking at Yan Chuan strangely. You're not afraid of death? The Dugu Sword Emperor frowned. Yan Chuan wasn't affected by the swords at all. The Dugu Sword Emperor couldn't understand why this youth was so calm. You don't have any killing intent. Why should I be afraid? However, I don't like this feeling. Yan Chuan said indifferently. Oh? The Dugu Sword Emperor was slightly surprised. You are my nephew's master. I won't bicker with you this time. Controlling the sword with intent, illuminated sword heart. My nephew has indeed found a good master. I'm relieved that he's willing to become your disciple. Yan Chuan said indifferently. The Dugu Sword Emperor's expression became even more strange. This was because the Dugu Sword Emperor couldn't see through Yan Chuan. On the other side, Yan Wudi's expression became even more complicated. Yan Wudi couldn't understand why this Uncle Wang was so calm in front of so many immortals. Compared to Uncle Wang, he really seemed to be lacking a lot. Lacking a lot? No! Yan Wudi's eyes suddenly focused. He clenched his fists tightly. He no longer held Yan Chuan in high regard. In fact, there was even a trace of fighting spirit in his eyes. Sensing Yan Wudi's fighting spirit, Yan Chuan smiled faintly. Yan Wudi, follow your master and practice your sword well. I will allow you to challenge me once, but at that time, your name must resound throughout the world. Famous throughout the world? Yan Wudi had a complicated expression on his face. Yan Chuan gave Yan Wudi a final smile before turning to look at Mo Yushi. Let's go. Yan Chuan said. Mo Yushi nodded. Yan Chuan walked in front while Mo Yushi, Qing Long, White Tiger, and Lu Jin followed behind. They slowly walked into the crowd. Looking at Yan Chuan's departing figure, almost everyone fell silent. King Mai's face was completely swept away. Zhu Jiansheng's eyes flashed with admiration. The fighting spirit in Yan Wudi's eyes rose. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. In the military camp, Yan Chuan, Mo Yushi, and Mr. Monroe were all looking at Huguang, who was sitting cross-legged in the center. Around Huguang, silver light shone. Boom! A surge of violent energy exploded around Huguang, blowing away a large amount of dust on the ground. Huguang opened his eyes and stood up abruptly. As he stretched his body, a series of pa-pa-pa sounds could be heard. Phew! Huguang retracted his aura. His eyes were filled with surging emotions. Lord, your subordinate has reached level 10 of the strength realm, complete. Thank you, Lord, for your help. Hua Guang said excitedly. Although Imo Yushi and Mr. Wenrua had put in a lot of effort during this period of time, Hua Guang knew in his heart that all of this was facilitated by Yan Chuan. Haha, good. You also have to thank Miss Imo and Mr. Monroe. Yan Chuan said with satisfaction. Thank you both. Hua Guang also bowed respectfully. Level 10 of the strength realm is good. We're about to break through the final barrier. Follow me later. Mr. Monroe said. Okay. Hua Guang replied. Do you remember what I told you the day before yesterday? Yan Chuan looked at Hua Guang. Yes, your subordinate dares not forget. Hua Guang said with a serious face. Go. Just listen to Mr. Monroe. Yan Chuan nodded. Chapter 119. Yes. Mr. Monroe, let's begin. Imo Yushi looked at Mr. Monroe. Okay. Everyone slowly walked out of the yellow gas wall. Yang Zigu, Qing Long, and the others had been waiting for a while. The 3,000 soldiers stood at attention. Wenrua, let's begin. Yang Zigu said impatiently. Mr. Monroe looked around. The fog seemed to have faded a lot. He could even vaguely see a huge full moon in the sky. The moon is full. We can begin. Qing Long, send the signal. Mr. Monroe said seriously. Yes. Qing Long replied. 2 green balls of light suddenly appeared in Qing Long's palms. They shot out along the yellow gas wall. Whoosh! The balls of light disappeared in the blink of an eye. They sent the signal to the powerful fighters around the gas wall. There were 8 directions on the gas wall. At King Yimu's position, there were a dozen powerful fighters around King Yimu. They all looked up at the moon in the sky. It's about to begin. Everyone was looking forward to it. Lu Gang. King Yimu looked at his disciple. Yes. The moon is full. It's about to begin. Others might not know, but I've received some information about this feng shui formation. Do you know why I took you in? King Yimu asked in a deep voice. Maybe it's because I'm. Lu Gang didn't know how to answer. Your constitution. If you had a good constitution, you wouldn't have to take me as your master. You're already in the essence state. King Yimu said disdainfully. Yes. Lu Gang's expression darkened. There's a record in the book. The best way to get what's inside is to break through and obtain the will of the Alcade Star. Then, you can control the formation. You've reached the peak of the strength state. This is your chance. You must get the will of the Alcade Star. Don't disappoint me again. King Yimu said in a deep voice. Yes. Don't worry, Master. I'll do my best. Lu Gang said seriously. Good. King Yimu nodded in satisfaction. In another direction of the yellow gas wall, 12 men in black stood there. They were all wrapped in black robes. 2 of them were the leaders. The moon is full, it's about to begin. The leader said. You are a feng shui master. Naturally, we will listen to you here. Another person said indifferently. I didn't think that people from the Dazhao Holy Land would also come in. They also have feng shui masters, the feng shui master said in a deep voice. It's that half-baked Ding Wugu, right? How can he compare to you? You are. Ah! The man stopped halfway through his sentence. In this area, no one dares to compare with me in terms of feng shui. However, the Dugu Sword Emperor is truly patient. He actually chased me all the way here, the feng shui master said. He can't find you. That person said. I hope so. However, Shinkun Kuroha, aren't you worried at all? The feng shui master suddenly laughed. What am I worried about? Shinkuin Kuroha asked in a deep voice. That's Yen Chuan. You must know that you were the vanguard when the Lord forced Yen Tao and his wife to their deaths. As a son, Yen Chuan will definitely see you as a great enemy once he grows up. The feng shui master said with a faint smile. Humph, he's just a kid who's still wet behind the ears. What's there to be afraid of? If it wasn't for the Lord's great cause, I could kill him with a flip of my hand. Shinkuin Kuroha said in a deep voice. According to the reports, this Yen Chuan has quite the style of Yen Tao. Give him a few years and he might really become someone. The feng shui master said. We don't have that much time. Shinkuin Kuroha said in a deep voice. Whoosh! Just as the two were talking, a green light suddenly shot across the sky. It was Qin Long's signal. Chapter 120. The Dugu Sword Emperor's purple sword soared into the sky, heading straight for the 12 black-clothed men. As the long sword was dragged out, the surrounding swords hummed in worship. Oh no, he's discovered me. Jiao Hu said. Stop him, quick. Shinkuin Kuroha was also anxious. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 black-clothed men rushed over. They drew their swords and slashed at the Dugu Sword Emperor. Clowns, how dare you stop me? The Dugu Sword Emperor said arrogantly. As he swung his long sword, it was as if thousands of swords had merged into one and slashed at one of the black-clothed men. Whoosh! The sound of the sword slicing through the air was ear-piercing. Boom! The black-clothed man's long sword was broken by the Dugu Sword Emperor, and he was sent flying. Defeated in one strike. In the distance, Qin Long's expression turned serious. The Dugu Sword Emperor turned around, and his longsword suddenly transformed into 100 zhang longsword energy, slashing at the other black-clothed man. Tisk! The sword was like a ray of light, instantly cutting off the black-clothed man's arm. Ah! The black-clothed man screamed in pain. The 2 black-clothed men were defeated in the blink of an eye. The Dugu Sword Emperor's eyes became even more arrogant. Poisoner, I've said 10 years ago that I will definitely cut off your head. You won't be able to escape. The Dugu Sword Emperor shouted. Dugu Sword Emperor, why do you have to force me? I'll give you everything I got from this great array. How about it? The poisoner Jiao Hu said. My Dugu clan only needs to cultivate a metal sword. Although the treasure is tempting, the hatred is greater than the heavens. It wasn't easy to find you, how can I let you go? The Dugu Sword Emperor said coldly. He brandished his long sword and charged at the poisoner again. Bastard! The poisoner was furious. Stop him, stop him! The poisoner Jiao Hu said. Another 4 men in black rushed over. Who below the immortal realm can stop me? The Dugu Sword Emperor attacked again. Poisoner, don't ruin this. Shinkuin Kuroha said anxiously. Normally, Shinkuin Kuroha would have had the time to deal with the Dugu Sword Emperor. Where would he find the time? Poisoner's expression sank. Shinkuin Kuroha, I'll lure the Dugu Sword Emperor away. Continue to do as I said. With that, Poisoner suddenly soared into the sky. Swish! Where do you think you're going? The Dugu Sword Emperor shouted as he shook off the 4 black-clothed men and charged forward. The 4 men in black also chased after him. In the blink of an eye, only 7 of the 12 black-clothed men remained. The golden dragon formed by the draconic vein energy recovered after losing the control of the feng shui master. It was no longer activated. Shinkuin Kuroha felt helpless, but he still led the remaining 6 men into the sky above the world-suppressing stone. While a group of experts charged up, another group of experts charged down at the myriad mysteries demonic lotus. What a treasure! What a treasure! The cultivator at the front excitedly charged into the black fog and tried to grab the myriad mysteries demonic lotus. However, as soon as he entered, he screamed miserably. Arg! His screams were extremely shrill, and many people stopped in their tracks. The cultivator at the front was surrounded by black fog. In the blink of an eye, his flesh and blood were rapidly melting. The black fog seemed to be melting his flesh and blood. In the blink of an eye, the cultivator became a skeleton. The myriad mysteries demonic lotus absorbed his flesh and blood. In the blink of an eye, the myriad mysteries demonic lotus devoured him. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a skeleton. The greedy cultivators and the surroundings retreated in fear. Only 2 people with high cultivation bases charged in confidently. Arg! Arg! Just like before, he turned into a skeleton in the blink of an eye. The myriad mysteries demonic lotus devoured his flesh and blood. How is this a treasure? It's a disaster, someone exclaimed. Chapter 121. Back off. Back off. No one dared to take another step forward. What a powerful myriad wonders demonic lotus. Yen Chuan said in a low voice. High up in the sky. Mr. Monroe had also arrived at the top of the stone of suppression. Begin. Mr. Monroe shouted at Huguang. Okay. Huguang shouted. Boom. The aura of the perfected strength realm erupted. Mr. Monroe placed his palm on Huguang's back to help Huguang trigger the heavenly tribulation. Buzz! Suddenly, a small cloud with a radius of 3 feet suddenly covered Huguang's head. It's coming! Mr. Monroe quickly retreated. Huguang stood on the boat and looked up at the black cloud. Boom! The black cloud exploded. A silver lightning bolt as thick as an arm shot down from the sky. Huguang's eyes lit up as he formed a sword seal with both hands. Break! Huguang faced the lightning bolt with his body. Boom! The lightning bolt exploded on Huguang's body. Silver light shot out in all directions. Huguang's hair was disheveled, and some of it was even burned instantly. Tribulation. Many of the confused experts in the surroundings exclaimed in surprise. Oh no! King Ye's expression changed. Begin! King Yi Mu yelled. He placed his palm on Lu Gang's back to help him break through. Buzz! A black cloud similar to Huguang's appeared above Lu Gang's head. The flying sword floated above his head and faced the lightning bolt. Boom! A silver lightning bolt shot down and collided with the flying sword. Boom! Countless lightning bolts flashed. Huguang and Lu Gang were fighting to transcend their tribulations. What are they doing? Why are they trying to transcend their tribulations at this time? Are they crazy? A lot of questioning voices came from all around. People did not understand why Huguang and Lu Gang were going through their tribulations. However, with 2 God state experts guarding the formation, it was obviously not that simple. The first heavenly tribulation has a total of 9 heavenly thunders. Prince Yan's seal art is indeed unique, to actually be able to transcend tribulation with the fleshy body by relying on this. Qin Long praised. The heavenly tribulation is a tribulation of the heavens, but it is also a gift from the heavens. How can it be wasted on external objects? Naturally, it is best to use it to temper the body. Only in this way can we lay the most solid foundation for the cultivation of the essence realm. Yen Chuan nodded. Boom! Boom! Flashes of lightning overflowed from Huguang's body. Huguang's hair was charred black, and his body was red from the explosions. Every time the heavenly lightning struck, Huguang's body would tremble violently, and he would suffer inhuman pain. Even so, Huguang still believed in Yen Chuan. He did not use any weapons to resist the heavenly lightning, and only used his body to withstand it. The 4th heavenly lightning. Qin Long counted for Huguang. Buzz! Just as the 4th heavenly lightning struck, a green light pierced through the tribulation cloud and enveloped Huguang. It was several times brighter than the surrounding starlight. The green light reached the sky and connected to the distant star, the Alcade. Great! Qin Long said excitedly. Buzz! On the other side, Lu Gang was also enveloped in starlight and connected to the Alcade. Great! In the sky, King Wild was also overjoyed. Obviously, both Lu Gang and Huguang had the possibility of inheriting the will of the Alcade. King Wild gave Mr. Monroe a provocative look. However, Mr. Wenrua turned a blind eye and waited for Huguang quietly. What are they doing? Is that the will of the constellation? How can two mortals inherit the will of the constellation? How can this be? They are just mortals. Noises could be heard all around. Gradually, people began to realize that something was wrong. Some of the smarter ones seemed to have guessed something. Chapter 122. Prince Yen, the experts from all directions are staring at Huguang with unfriendly expressions. Should we go over now? In case someone destroys it? Azure Dragon asked. No need. Smart people won't destroy them. They might even help them. Yen Chuan said in a deep voice. As soon as Yen Chuan finished speaking, someone in the sky pounced on Huguang. However, halfway through, he was beaten back by an unknown expert. No one is allowed to touch them. The expert shouted. Oh, really? White Tiger was surprised. Why do they want to protect Huguang? Rosefinch was puzzled. Now, no one can touch the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus. If Huguang can, those smart people will be happy to see it happen. Because if they can't get the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus now, they can take it from Huguang. Mo Yushi explained. I see. White Tiger nodded. Open. Another shout came from the sky. It was from the remaining 7 men in black. The one who shouted was Shinkuen Kuroha. Shinkuen Kuroha's aura suddenly burst out and rushed into the sky. Rumble. In the sky, a black cloud that was 100 times bigger and 100 times taller than Huguang's tribulation cloud appeared. The black cloud rolled and a doomsday aura was emitted. In the rolling black cloud, lightning flashed, and it was filled with endless destructive power. Someone is undergoing tribulation again. What kind of tribulation is this? 4 heavenly lightning tribulations, 49 heavenly tribulations. The surrounding experts stared at the sky. 49 heavenly tribulations? Spirit returning to void? Mo Yushi's expression changed. It's that man in black. He also wants to steal the Alcade's will. Qing Long pointed at Shinkuen Kuroha, who was wrapped in a black robe. The 6 experts protected Shinkuen Kuroha. Shinkuen Kuroha triggered the 49 heavenly tribulations. Buzz! Another green light rushed from the starry sky into the tribulation clouds of the 9 heavenly tribulation. As the lightning flashed, it suddenly enveloped Shinkuen Kuroha below. This time, the starlight pillar was at least 10 times thicker than Huguang's. Ha ha ha! Shinkuen Kuroha laughed. This tribulation hasn't even started, but the Alcade's will is already so attractive. How can Huguang compete with him? Qing Long said anxiously. Don't worry. That feng shui master was forced to leave. With me here, the will of the Alcade star will definitely belong to Huguang. Yen Chuan laughed. Ha! Mo Yushi looked at Yen Chuan in confusion, but when she saw the determination in Yen Chuan's eyes, she unconsciously chose to believe him. Come on! Heavenly lightning! Shinkuen Kuroha shouted to the sky. Boom! 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 Following Shinkuen Kuroha's shout, 100 heavenly lightning bolts suddenly struck down from the tribulation clouds. The 100 lightning bolts were extremely dazzling. Like a waterfall, they instantly lit up the entire 4 directions formation. Boom! The heavenly lightning struck Shinkuen Kuroha. Shinkuen Kuroha's body seemed to be bathed in lightning, shining brightly. It was like the sun and the moon. Compared to Shinkuen Kuroha, Huguang and Lu Gang's lightning bolts were too weak. The starlight around Shinkuen Kuroha grew brighter and brighter. Prince Yen and the will of the Alcade star are almost there. What should we do now? Qin Long asked anxiously. Yan Chuan turned to look at the 3,000 silver armors. Crossbows at the ready. Yan Chuan shouted. Yes. The entire army quickly drew their bows. Aim at the largest black cloud and shoot. Yan Chuan shouted. Yes. Boom. More than 2,000 arrows were shot up. These ordinary arrows? Are they useful? White Tiger asked in disbelief. Lightning rod. Have you heard of it? Yan Chuan smiled. Ha! White Tiger was stunned. My arrow rain is now a lightning rod. It will disperse the heavenly lightning and help him pass the tribulation. Yan Chuan said confidently. Chapter 123. My arrow rain is now a lightning rod. It will disperse his heavenly lightning and help him pass the tribulation. Yan Chuan said confidently. More than 2,000 arrows soared into the sky, but they didn't hit anyone. Many people didn't know what was going on and only looked at them curiously. Even Shinkuan Kuroha did not care about the 2,000 arrows. Boom! More than 2,000 arrows successfully pierced through the clouds and mist, straight up into the sky. They were getting closer and closer to the 4-in-9 tribulation clouds. The tip of the arrow suddenly trembled slightly, as if it had felt a huge magnetic field. Crackle! A strange electric current appeared at the tip. More than 2,000 arrows rained down, and every arrow was the same. And what caused the electromagnetic phenomenon of the arrowhead was the 4-9 tribulation clouds. Not good. Shinkuan Kuroha's expression changed drastically. By the time he reached out to stop her, it was already too late. Boom! Within the 4-9 tribulation clouds, a large amount of lightning was suddenly attracted by the arrow rain. The lightning was very thin, but it was divided into more than 2,000 strands. Boom! 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 Bolts of lightning blasted towards the rain of arrows, causing them to explode. The rain of arrows diverted the heavenly tribulation. Although it was only a drop in the bucket, this drop in the bucket caused Shinkuan Kuroha to reveal a look of despair. Very little of the lightning was split, but the will of the stars connected to the tribulation cloud was split into more than 2,000 equal parts in an instant. The starlight that enveloped Shinkuan Kuroha was suddenly reduced to 1,000th of its original size. In the blink of an eye, the huge advantage they had was gone. No! Shinkuan Kuroha roared in grief and indignation. Boom! More than 2,000 arrows exploded, but it didn't have much effect on the heavenly tribulation. However, because the starlight was diverted, there was only 1,000th of the original amount left. The arrows exploded, and the starlight was all retracted. The amount of astral power that the 4-9's tribulation clouds had attracted was less than 1% of Huguang's. The thin beam of starlight showed Shinkuan Kuroha's defeat. Rumble. Shinkuan Kuroha was filled with grief and indignation. Paw! While he was lamenting in his heart, his hat was also blown off by the heavenly thunder, revealing Shinkuan Kuroha's gloomy face. Shinkuan Kuroha looked in the direction of Yan Chuan while blocking the second wave of heavenly thunder. A bunch of ordinary dogs? I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. Shinkuan Kuroha roared. Old bastard, hey you. A loud shout suddenly came from afar. Yan Chuan looked over and saw Zhujiansheng running towards him with an angry expression. Mo Yushi frowned. Junior brother Yan Chuan, it's him, Shinkuan Kuroha. He was one of the people who forced your parents to their deaths. Zhujiansheng quickly shot over. What? Lu Jin exclaimed. He raised his head and stared at the sky. Zhujiansheng landed in front of Yan Chuan with his sword. Junior brother Yan Chuan, I'll follow you, just in case. Zhujiansheng said sincerely. Zhujiansheng saw Shinkuan Kuroha. He was here to protect Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan nodded slightly. At the same time, he looked at Shinkuan Kuroha in the sky again. A murderous look flashed across his eyes. Prince Yan, do you want us to Qing Long asked. No, I want to take revenge with my own hands. Besides, I haven't figured out what's going on here. Yan Chuan shook his head. Boom! Each wave of heavenly thunder was stronger than the previous one. Shinkuin Kuroha was no longer in the mood to be angry with the 3,000 silver armors. Instead, he focused on resisting the heavenly thunder. Yan Chuan took a deep look at Shinkuin Kuroha again, then turned to Huguang. Shinkuin Kuroha's heavenly thunder was fierce. Huguang and Lu Gang's heavenly thunder were still in order. Chapter 124. Boom! Huguang looked like he was about to be cooked. His whole body was red from the lightning. This is the 8th lightning. Huguang still has one more, but the will of the stars is still lingering between Huguang and that person. Prince Yen. Qing Long frowned and asked. The will of the Alcade? It must be Huguang's. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Yan Chuan raised his head and looked at the starry sky. He immediately saw the Alcade star. Following the Alcade, Yan Chuan quickly found the other brightest star. The North Star, also known as the North Star, was the ruler of numbers and the star of emperors. Staring at the North Star, Yan Chuan narrowed his eyes. It was as if he had a connection with the North Star. Buzz! The North Star flashed slightly. A ray of light shot towards the Alcade. Of course, no one could see this except for the host of the star. It was too faint and too far away. In his previous life, Yan Chuan's will had merged with the will of the North Star. In this life, his soul was still in his previous life, so naturally, his will could also connect with the North Star. The North Star was the ruler of numbers, so it naturally commanded the Alcade. Although the effect on the Alcade was limited, it was still possible to tilt the balance slightly when it came to choosing one. Boom! The last bolt of heavenly lightning blasted towards Huguang. At the same time, all the stars in the surroundings suddenly gathered towards Huguang. A ray of white light shot down from the Alcade and went straight towards Huguang's head. No, how can this be? King Yi exclaimed. Boom! Huguang blocked the last lightning bolt. The tribulation clouds dispersed. The bright stars gathered around Huguang and enveloped Huguang in a pillar that reached the sky. Huguang's clothes were mostly torn, but the aura around him was surging. Buzz! Around Huguang, the starlight suddenly condensed into the illusory image of an enormous armored soldier. In the illusory image, the armored soldier glared. His killing intent surged out in all directions. He held a long spear in his hand, and as he waved it, it emitted a bloody stench. Army destroyer will, good! Qing Long shouted excitedly. For a moment, Huguang seemed to have become the focus of everyone's attention. It was not only because of the tribulation, but also because of the will of the stars. It was also the first time for many people to see it. Domineering aura, murderous aura, broken aura, invincible aura. A starlight phantom showed the tyrannical power of the star will. It shouldn't be like this, it shouldn't be like this. King Wild was extremely furious. After transcending the tribulation, Lu Gang should have roared to the sky in excitement. But at this moment, Lu Gang did not dare to make a sound, because he had messed up his master's matter again. Who? Huguang opened his eyes, and the starlight around him suddenly converged into his body. The starlight pillar also suddenly disappeared. On the other side, Shinkuin Kuroha, who was in the middle of transcending the tribulation, looked at Huguang with a gloomy face. He looked at the guy who had gotten a great deal. Bastard! Shinkuin Kuroha said angrily. Boom! Lightning flashed, and Shinkuin Kuroha could only focus on the tribulation in the sky again. Huguang inherited the will of the army destroyer star and gently raised his hand. Boom! The 8 golden dragons formed by the draconic energy suddenly raised their heads and looked at Huguang together as if they were attracted by Huguang. Good! Mr. Monroe's face lit up. But the joy only lasted for a moment, and Mr. Monroe's face suddenly changed. Quick, remove the control. Mr. Monroe shouted. Ha! Huguang was slightly surprised and immediately stopped controlling the 8 golden dragons. Mr. Monroe. Huguang looked at Mr. Monroe in confusion. Mr. Monroe was staring at the Stone of World Suppression, or more accurately, at Master Immortal Damiao, who was on top of the Stone of World Suppression. Mr. Monroe's abnormality attracted the attention of all the experts around. Many people turned their heads to look. Yan Chuan was also brought up into the sky by Mo Yu Shi and looked at Master Immortal Damiao on top of the Stone of World Suppression. Master Immortal Damiao slowly opened his eyes. He's awake. He's alive. Oh no, it's Master Immortal Damiao. Shocked expressions could be heard all around. Master Immortal Damiao was awake. Still sitting cross-legged, Master Immortal Damiao looked up at the sky. The Big Dipper 9 stars alignment. Master Immortal Damiao looked up at the sky and sighed bitterly. When Ruo greets Master Immortal Damiao, Mr. Monroe said respectfully. My greets Master Immortal Damiao. King Mai also said respectfully. Greetings came from all around. Master Immortal Damiao slowly stood up with his hands clasped behind his back and looked around. Then, he looked at Huguang and smiled bitterly. Don't you know that the myriad wonders demonic lotus is evil beyond the heavens? Master Immortal Damiao sighed. Master Immortal Damiao, the feng shui formation has been broken. We can no longer protect the myriad wonders demonic lotus. Please help us. Mr. Monroe said respectfully. Master Immortal Damiao stared at Mr. Monroe. Master Immortal Damiao shook his head. My mission is to protect the myriad wonders demonic lotus. As long as I'm here, no one can touch it. Don't waste time talking to him. Let's attack together. If we drag this out, more and more experts will come. King Mai suddenly shouted. As he spoke, King Mai raised his hand and attacked Master Immortal Damiao. A purple palm print shot toward Master Immortal Damiao. Master Immortal Damiao's eyes widened. He countered with a palm print. Boom! The void trembled. King Mai's palm print dissipated. Attack! Attack! Shouts came from all around as they flew toward Master Immortal Damiao. Since they couldn't get the myriad wonders demonic lotus, they had to get the world-suppressing stone first. Humph! Master Immortal Damiao snorted. Whoosh! Master Immortal Damiao's body flickered, and 8 identical Master Immortal Damiao appeared around him. The 8 Master Immortal Damiao faced the 20 Immortal State experts flying toward them from all directions. Rumble! Shockwaves spread out in all directions. Go down! Mr. Monroe controlled the boat and rushed down with Huguang. Where do you think you're going? One of Master Immortal Damiao raised his hand and attacked. A golden skeleton flew toward Mr. Monroe. A brush appeared in Mr. Monroe's hand and he waved it at the golden skeleton. Buzz! A white light formed by the awe-inspiring righteous energy shot toward the skeleton. Boom! The white light and the golden skeleton collided with each other. They exploded. Go to Yan Chuan. Mr. Monroe waved the boat and it shot downward. Mr. Monroe held the brush and blocked Master Immortal Damiao's path. Master Immortal Damiao, I'm sorry. Mr. Monroe shouted. As he spoke, the brush in his hand moved quickly and drew a mountain in the blink of an eye. Boom! The mountain pressed down on Master Immortal Damiao. Humph! Master Immortal Damiao formed an incantation gesture and a crack appeared in the void. Countless hellfire soared into the sky and rushed toward Mr. Wenruo. The battle in the sky was about to start. Huguang also arrived at the bottom of the mountain. Half of the overlords were watching the battle in the sky for the world-suppressing stone. The other half was watching Huguang, ready to fight for the myriad wonders demonic lotus. Chapter 125. Lord. Huguang returned and greeted respectfully. Rosefinch, Xuanwu, stay behind and protect my 3,000 soldiers." Yan Chuan said to the two. "Yes." The two replied. "Zhijiansheng, I'll have to trouble you to stay behind and help me look after these subordinates." Yan Chuan looked at Zhijiansheng. "All right." Zhijiansheng agreed. "Yan Chuan owes you a favor." Yan Chuan nodded. I didn't plan to do anything when I came in." Zhijiansheng laughed. "Lu Jin, give me that painting." Yan Chuan stretched out his hand. "Yes." Lu Jin immediately handed over the spatial painting. "The rest of you, let's go," Yan Chuan said. Mo Yushi nodded. "Hu Guang, channel the power of the dragon veins into our bodies and enter the area of evil energy," Yan Chuan ordered. "Yes." Hu Guang replied. Buzz. The image of the Alcade appeared around Hu Guang. Suddenly, the 8 golden dragons began to twist and turn. "Bastard!" Master Damiao's angry roar came from the sky. "Lord, your subordinate can only control 4 golden dragons. Master Damiao has already taken the other 4. Hu Guang frowned. "Enough. Let's go." Roar! 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 The 4 golden dragons suddenly left the world-suppressing stone and rushed down. The dragon heads overlapped and covered Yan Chuan, Mo Yushi, Qing Long, White Tiger, Yang Zigu, and Hu Guang. 4 dragon bodies and 1 dragon head. Dragon Qi gathered at one point, protecting the 6 of them. The 6 of them quickly ran towards the center. At this moment, nearly half of the experts were staring at him. As long as the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus was suppressed, everyone would fight for it. There were also some people who set their sights on the 3,000 soldiers, but Rosefinch, Xuanwu, and Zhijiansheng were standing guard, so they couldn't make a move for the time being. The dragon energy shrouded the 6 of them as the black chi from the outside corroded the dragon energy ferociously. The golden dragon head trembled violently. "Will the dragon chi outside be broken?" Yang Zigu said with some fear. "It's possible, so we have to be quick," Yan Chuan said solemnly. "Then hurry up, hurry up," Yang Zigu said fearfully. Everyone anxiously approached the center. The closer they got to the center, the more the dragon head shook, as if it would collapse at any moment. Everyone was nervous. The surrounding experts also clenched their fists. They were waiting for Yan Chuan and his team's harvest. It didn't take long for them to arrive. When they got closer, they could see everything in more detail. The 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus emitted an extremely evil light. It made people feel like they would be mesmerized by it. It was as if it could give people unlimited power. It was as if they could become invincible as long as they obtained the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. Mo Yushi, Yang Zigu, Qing Long, White Tiger, and Hu Guang were all breathing rapidly. Yan Chuan was very calm. He wasn't disturbed at all. In fact, Yan Chuan wasn't looking at the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus, but at the dark red round platform supporting the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. The round platform wasn't big, only 3 meters wide. However, Yan Chuan was moved by this round platform. Iron Jade Essence. How extravagant. Good stuff. Yan Chuan exclaimed inwardly. Others might not be able to tell, but Yan Chuan knew how precious this round platform was. The 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus was under the influence of the feng shui array. If there was no hard object underneath, the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus could just burrow into the ground. The Iron Jade Essence carried both the Feng Shui Array and the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. Although the Iron Jade Essence's spirituality wasn't as good as the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus, it was definitely not inferior in quality. Chapter 126. But at this moment, everyone's attention was on the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus. No one was paying attention to the Iron Jade Essence. "Lady Imo, prepare to take the Myriad Wonders demonic lotus." Yan Chuan woke Mo Yushi up. Mo Yushi immediately woke up. She nodded and took out the 8 treasures divine box. She opened the box and prepared to take the myriad wonders demonic lotus. With me here, no one can take it. Suddenly, another immortal Master Damiao appeared at the mouth of the dragon and blocked Yan Chuan's path. Not good. Qing Long and White Tiger immediately blocked Yan Chuan and Mo Yushi. Boom! Qing Long and White Tiger each pushed out a palm and collided with Master Damiao's. Humph, 2 immortal realm cultivators. You're not enough. Master Damiao said coldly. Lord, Master Damiao is disrupting the energy of the dragon veins. I can't control it. Hua Guang said anxiously. If you can't control it, we're finished. You have to control it. Yang Zigu shouted. His eyes were filled with fear. This was a desperate situation. Once the dragon chi dissipated, the black chi would corrode them into bones. Bastard! Mo Yushi also wanted to attack Master Damiao. Lady Mo. Yan Chuan stopped Mo Yushi. Mo Yushi anxiously turned around. There's not enough time. You have to trust me. Create an essence clone and let me control it. Yan Chuan stared at Mo Yushi. What? Mo Yushi was surprised. Yes. Yan Chuan nodded affirmatively. The essence clone was oneself. No one would turn themselves into a puppet for others to control. In the past, if anyone dared to say this to her, Mo Yushi would definitely kill them. However, at this moment, he saw Yan Chuan's resolute gaze. That gaze was like the one in his dream a few months ago. Mo Yushi's heart inexplicably trembled. All right. Mo Yushi didn't know why, but she agreed. Yan Chuan tapped Mo Yushi's forehead with his finger. Mo Yushi's face turned slightly red, but she didn't struggle. She closed her eyes and a large amount of white essence gushed out from her pores. It was still Mo Yushi's form. However, the eyes of Mo Yushi's avatar were the eyes of Yan Chuan. Fierce and domineering. The essence chi clone looked at Qing Long and White Tiger, who were fighting with Damiao Immortal. His eyes narrowed as he took a step forward and appeared in front of the 3. Heavenly cycle. In the palm of the essence chi doppelganger, countless tiny stars appeared, orbiting in different orbits. If one looked closely, they would see that Mo Yushi's palm seemed to be holding the entire universe. The small stars were countless stars. Rumble. He pushed his palm towards Master Damiao Immortal. Master Damiao Immortal's expression changed. He pushed away Qing Long and White Tiger and went towards Mo Yushi. Bam! The universe in Mo Yushi's palm seemed to expand and enveloped Master Damiao Immortal. Countless stars revolved around Master Damiao Immortal. Even someone as strong as Master Damiao seemed to be completely restrained by the power of the stars. He couldn't move at all. What? What technique is this? Master Damiao Immortal exclaimed. Bam! Master Damiao Immortal was sent flying. He hit the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. The moment the dragon head appeared, the surrounding black gas rushed towards Master Damiao Immortal. Bastard! Master Damiao Immortal yelled as he was devoured by the black gas and absorbed by the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. He pushed Master Damiao Immortal back with one palm. Qing Long and White Tiger's eyes almost popped out. This! Master Damiao Immortal has many avatars. Even if his strength has decreased a lot, he is still a peak stage immortal state warrior. But Saintess? White Tiger looked over in disbelief. Chapter 127. The essence clone entered Mo Yushi's body in the blink of an eye. Yan Chuan also removed his finger from Mo Yushi's forehead. Mo Yushi slowly opened her eyes and blushed. At the same time, her gaze towards Yan Chuan was filled with a trace of tenderness. Quickly retrieve the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. Yan Chuan said gently. Mo Yushi replied. The 8 treasures god box covered the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. Boom! The lid was slammed shut. The black gas in the surroundings suddenly lost its source and slowly dissipated. Grabbing the 8 treasures god box, Emoyushi's eyes were filled with excitement. It wasn't just Emoyushi. At this moment, as long as one wasn't fighting in the sky, their eyes were all focused on Emoyushi's 8 treasures god box. 10,000 wonders demonic lotus, 10,000 wonders demonic lotus. Yang Zigu excitedly reached out to grab it. However, Yan Chuan opened his painting and covered the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus with the iron jade essence. Whoosh! The iron jade essence was placed into the painting. Yan Chuan quickly kept the painting. At this moment, everyone was staring at the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus. Naturally, no one noticed Yan Chuan's actions. Why can't I keep it? Emoyushi's expression changed. Saintess, what's wrong? Qing Long immediately asked. Yushi, let me see, let me see. Yang Zigu reached out to grab it. Emoyushi looked at Yang Zigu strangely and actually let go of the box. Good, good, good. Yang Zigu grabbed the 8 treasures god box excitedly. What's wrong? Yan Chuan looked towards Emoyushi. The 10,000 wonders demonic lotus is too intelligent. I can't store it in my storage space. Emoyushi frowned. So intelligent? Then wouldn't we have to bring the box back? Yan Chuan said worriedly. Emoyushi nodded. Fine, do as I said. Yan Chuan frowned. All right. Emoyushi replied. Yang Zigu, we've got it. Let's go. Emoyushi said to Yang Zigu. Good, good. It's just a pity that this thing can't be stored in the storage space. Yang Zigu said regretfully. Go. Emoyushi, Yang Zigu, Qing Long and the white tiger soared into the sky, rushing towards the outside of the array. Where do you think you're going? Hand over the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus. Stop. Suddenly, a large number of experts surrounded them to fight for the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus. Just as they were in the air, Emoyushi and the others were surrounded by 20 immortal state warriors, and dozens of Qi realm warriors were waiting for them. In the blink of an eye, they had nowhere to run. Yang Zigu, protect the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus. I, Qing Long and the white tiger will do our best to protect you. Emoyushi shouted. Okay, okay. Yang Zigu stuttered. Xing. 20 immortal state warriors and dozens of Qi state warriors pulled out their weapons and stared at Yang Zhizhou with bloodshot eyes. Their murderous intent surged toward him. This. Yang Zigu looked at the scene in shock. Yushi, you should take it. Take it. Yang Zigu said fearfully. Although Yang Zigu wanted the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus, it was too dangerous. The dozens of immortal state experts were only targeting him. No matter how powerful the 3 immortal state experts were, they couldn't protect him. Yang Zigu wanted to spread the news of the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus as soon as possible. Okay. Emoyushi smiled cunningly. At the same time, she looked at Yan Chuan gratefully. This was because Yan Chuan had already predicted this scene a few days ago. As expected, Yang Zigu didn't dare to keep the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus for himself. She had no one to blame but herself for giving it back. Little girl, you don't deserve the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus. Hand it over. One of the immortal state warriors said coldly. The crowd was getting closer and closer. At this moment, Emoyushi's heart was unusually calm. She was waiting for Yan Chuan's next move. Yan Chuan looked up at the sky and said to Huguang, it's time. Huguang, use your dragon chi to destroy this array. Yes. Chapter 128. Dragon Chi, explode. Huguang shouted. Boom. The 4 golden dragon chi controlled by Huguang suddenly exploded. The explosion shook the surroundings. The 4 dragons exploded and turned into countless fragments. The 4 dragons were the amalgamation of the Earth's dragon veins. The explosion of the 4 dragons caused the Earth to shake. Caw 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 caw. Huge trenches appeared one after another. Mountains and rivers collapsed, and rivers flowed in reverse. The entire space of the formation had undergone earth-shaking changes. Ah! Be careful. Not good. The sound of Jiaohu came from all directions. Where Yan Chuan's army was, the ground was also shaking uncontrollably. The 3,000 soldiers swayed and found it difficult to stand firm. Caw! A huge earth trench appeared under the feet of the 3,000 soldiers. Rosefinch opened his eyes wide. Boom! Vermilion bird and black tortoise quickly attacked the mountainous region beside them to fill up the trench. Large amounts of mountain rocks shot over from all directions. Jiu Jiansheng wielded his sword and blocked wave after wave of mountain rocks for the 3,000 soldiers. Although the 3,000 soldiers swayed, they did not suffer any serious injuries in front of the 3 experts. Boom! Caw! A huge sound came from the sky. It was as if the sky was being torn apart. A huge crack appeared. The array is broken. Yan Chuan looked at the sky with satisfaction. The moment the 4 dragons exploded, almost all the experts stopped and prepared for any accidents. The golden dragon exploded, the array collapsed, and the earth shook. Dust, dragon chi, and fog turned the interior of the array turbid, greatly limiting one's vision. Little girl, hand over the 10,000 wonders demonic lotus. The godly realm expert quickly recovered. He once again approached Mo Yushi. You want it? Come and take it. Mo Yushi laughed. Humph. That person rushed forward. Qing Long seal. White tiger seal. Boom. The 2 of them attacked at the same time and repelled the god realm expert. Let's go together. Whoever gets it will get it. That person shouted. All right. Everyone pressed forward. Yang Zigu had a worried look on his face. Qing Long and White Tiger were on standby. Screech! A crane's cry pierced through the sky. The surroundings were extremely turbid. The battle did not stop and the rumbling did not stop. Not many people paid attention to this crane cry. Only a few people saw a white crane swoop down from outside the formation. He went straight into the turbid formation. Screech! Little he, I'm here. Mo Yushi called out. Screech! The red-crowned crane swooped down excitedly and arrived in front of the group of experts in the blink of an eye. Not good, quick, quick, attack together. An expert exclaimed. Xing! Die! Stay! 7 or 8 experts attacked at the same time. The swords, sabers, and treasures in their hands all struck towards Mo Yushi. Just as Mo Yushi was about to be buried in the group attack, a white light flashed past. Whoosh! Mo Yushi disappeared. Where did he go? Someone exclaimed. Above, above. Another person shouted. Everyone looked up and saw Mo Yushi standing on the red-crowned crane and breaking through the clouds. Everyone, we'll meet again. Mo Yushi laughed. Bastard, stop right there. Stop. Leave the 10,000 wonders bewitching lotus. The 20 god realm experts almost went crazy. The meat in their mouths flew away just like that. Who could accept that? Chapter 129. Chase. Dozens of experts soared into the sky and chased after the crane. However, when the experts flew out of the array and into the sky, Missouri Yushi and the crane had already become a small dot in the sky. Even if the deity realm experts could soar through the sky, how could they be faster than the crane that specialized in flight? The crane flapped its wings and left all the deity realm experts behind. Ah! Bastard! Roar! Above the broken array, angry roars could be heard. They were venting their endless frustrations. On the horizon, She hugged the box containing the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. She turned her head and looked at the array in the distance that was filled with smoke and dust. Her expression was one of pride and concern. Screech! Screech! The crane cried out excitedly. Okay, I know. Little crane, you have done the most this time. She patted the crane's head lovingly. Screech! The crane was proud. This time, I really have to thank him. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have thought of sending you a message in the array. You wouldn't have received my signal, and you wouldn't have been able to cooperate with me when breaking the array. She said with a smile. Screech? Screech? Him. That's him. Prince Yen. She said with a slightly red face. Screech? This time, the snatching of the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus was actually his plan. I finally got it. I finally got the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus. She said happily. Screech? We are not waiting for Qing Long and the others. He said that the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus is definitely not ordinary. The 8 treasure divine box might not be able to seal it for too long. He wants me to return to the sacred grounds first and hand the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus to Mohina Dojin. Wait, let's go to his bamboo house first. I will leave a message for Qing Long and the others. She said after some thought. Screech! The crane flapped its wings and flew towards Yen Chuan's bamboo house. The formation was broken. Draconic qi wreaked havoc, and the inside of the formation was extremely turbid. Master Immortal Damiao was fighting alone. Suddenly, his body stopped moving and regrouped into one. Master Immortal Damiao had fought against half of the experts by himself, so no one dared to underestimate him. Standing at the center of the world-suppressing stone, Immortal Master Damiao looked up at the sky. Ha ha ha, heaven's will. This is the will of the heavens. Immortal Master Damiao said with a sorrowful expression. We've already lost the myriad wonders demonic lotus. Don't be so stubborn, Immortal Master Damiao. King Yimu advised. Master Immortal Damiao suddenly turned to look at King Yimu. His eyes were cold as ice, and then he swept his gaze over the crowd. My mission has come to an end. The formation has been broken, and I will be destroyed. However, everyone here, remember this. In the future, the calamity of the world will be your calamity. You are the ones who made the world live in fire and water. Immortal Master Damiao shouted. You're just trying to scare us. Another expert shouted. At this point, the experts who had been fighting for the myriad profundity demonic lotus had also surrounded Master Immortal Damiao. Master Immortal Damiao looked at the crowd with hatred and waved his hand. Explode! Master Immortal Damiao shouted. Hong! The remaining 4 golden dragons suddenly exploded. Rumble! The explosion was even more intense. The entire feng shui formation was shattered, and the ground shook. It was as if the apocalypse had arrived. The formation was completely broken, and Master Immortal Damiao's figure slowly faded away. However, even though he was about to be destroyed, his eyes were still fixed on everyone. On the other side. Chapter 130. After Yushi escaped, Qing Long and White Tiger landed with an unwilling Yang Zigu. Prince Yen, let's go. Qing Long shouted. Okay. Yen Chuan nodded. Guang, now that the formation is broken, your control over the dragon aura should be getting weaker and weaker, right? Yen Chuan asked. Yes, after the explosion, it's less than 1/100th. And it's getting weaker and weaker. Guang nodded. Alright, it's the final moment. Control as much as you can. Try your best to control the dragon aura and infuse it into your army. Yen Chuan ordered. Yes. Guang replied. Rumble. A large amount of dragon aura fragments suddenly rushed towards the 3,000 silver armors. Roar. Roar! Roar! The fragments seemed to have turned into miniature golden dragons. There were tens of thousands of them and they rushed towards the 3,000 silver armors. Open your mouth and swallow. Yan Chuan shouted at the 3,000 silver armors. Yes, the 3,000 silver armors replied. Roar! They opened their mouths and shot out golden dragons. The 3,000 silver armors opened their mouths and swallowed the golden dragons. In an instant, the 3,000 silver armors glowed with golden light. Dragon aura entering the body? Huh. Zhu Jiansheng's eyes lit up. Zhu Jiansheng reached out and took out his wine gourd. He opened the gourd and started sucking in the dragon aura rushing towards him. Qing Long, White Tiger, Rosefinch, Xuanwu, and Yang Zigu didn't seem to care about the dragon aura. Alright, time to go. Yang Zigu was full of resentment. After half a day, the 10,000 Wonders demonic lotus was still taken by Mo Yushi. How depressing. Rumble. The battle above for the world-suppressing stone was getting more intense. Let's go. Yan Chuan nodded. Qing Long and White Tiger led the way. Escorting Yan Chuan's group, they quickly approached the 3,000 soldiers. Lord! The 3,000 soldiers shouted excitedly. Junior brother Yan Chuan, you're awesome. Zhu Jiansheng said with a smile. We're leaving. What about you? Yan Chuan looked at Zhu Jiansheng. Let's go, let's go. Although I hate that Shinkuan Kuroha, I really can't beat him now. His 4-in-9 heavenly tribulation is about to end. Moreover, if I stayed, would I be able to compete with dozens of immortal state warriors for the world-suppressing stone? That's courting death. I'm already very satisfied with this dragon chi. Let's go, let's go. Zhu Jiansheng said with a smile. Let's go. Yan Chuan nodded. Rosefinch, Xuanwu, lead the way. Qing Long shouted. Okay. The two of them answered. Rumble. Amidst the shaking earth and rolling dust, Yan Chuan's group quickly walked out of the broken formation. Rumble. Rumble. The 3,000 soldiers were weak, but they were escorted by a group of powerhouses. Although the journey was dangerous, not many people were injured. 2 hours later, everyone was outside the formation. Outside the formation, the surrounding mountains and rivers had collapsed. Apparently, they were affected by the formation. Behind them, dust rose into the sky. Streams of light shot out from the formation. The powerhouses were fighting non-stop. The world-suppressing stone was now a must-have item. Let's go to my place and wait for Mr. Monroe. Maybe Miss Imo is still there. Yan Chuan said. Yeah. Yang Zigu's eyes lit up. A glimmer of hope flashed in his eyes. When they came, the silver-armored soldiers were at LV4 or 5 of the power realm. When they left, they were at least at LV7. They even swallowed dragon chi, so their cultivation would definitely improve. Their speed was much faster. 5 days later, everyone returned to the bamboo house. Yushi? Yang Zigu looked around. Lord, there are words left by Miss Imo at the door of your master bedroom. Lu Jin immediately went forward. Oh? Everyone quickly walked to the door of Yan Chuan's master bedroom. There was a piece of paper on the door. There was a line of beautiful words written on it. Qing Long, White Tiger, Rosefinch, Xuanwu, I've returned to the Dazhao sacred ground. Stay here and protect Prince Yan. Wait for my news. It's the saint's words. Qing Long took the paper and said with certainty. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.